spurred on by Colin Kinnear, who is still smarting from the fact that Port Melbourne defeated them at Coburg, will produce enough in the way of flow-on football to win this game?
Well, you know, I've been thinking about this game a lot, and I'm looking at the full forwards from both ends. Actually, both full forwards can kick their 100 goals today, both Smith and also Fred Cook. One's got to kick, what, 7, and the other's got to kick 3 to get their 100. Now, Fred Cook is smarting over remarks that have been made through the week that he didn't turn up at the game at Caulfield until half-time while he was out commentating with us at Coburg, but he had other reasons to be in the area.
And spying.
And having a look at how Coburg were going. And I think that will be advantageous to the team today. I quite frankly feel that Port Melbourne are premiership material. I saw them earlier in the season defeat Coburg, and I stated that on the day that they would. I feel that they'll defeat Coburg again today. Coburg's dominance has been in the ruck area and Burt being able to get it away from the centre. Now, we had Milroy out the last time they met, and that was one of the reasons I based my selection the way I did that day. Milroy is in today, but I think Annanson is well enough equipped to be able to control Milroy and control the centre bounce and their players to be able to get it away from the centre. So I'm going for Port Melbourne.
Phil, just would like to mention that Port Melbourne do have some incentive today, whereas Coburg don't have any at all. Now, if Port Melbourne are defeated today and Geelong West defeat Paran, Geelong West will move in the second spot. If Geelong West beat Sandringham, Geelong West will move in the second spot, and Port Melbourne will drop down into third place, missing that double chance for the final. So the incentive is there for Port Melbourne today.
There's heaps of incentive for Coburg. They've got to overcome that loss against Port Melbourne early in the season. They've got to overcome the fact that Port Melbourne could say, come finals time, if they win today, we are simply too good for Coburg. So they've got, it's a matter of principle, pride, and whatever you like with Coburg.
So you would say, you would agree that probably both teams have sufficient incentive today to
yes, I would
give their best?
Yes. I think it's the match of the season.
No doubt.
So do I.
I think we're seeing a final. We'll see a final here today, without a doubt. Now, the other two important games on today will be Sandringham playing Geelong West, but most important is the Preston-Paran game, and then followed by Dandenong and Camberwell. But it all hinges around the Preston and Paran game. And we'll have frequent scores coming through from that match particularly to keep us up to date. Ian, we haven't taken your statistics, I hope. What have you got for us over there?
Well, statistically, this game has all the ingredients to be the most entertaining game of the season. The last time these two teams met was in round 9 at Coburg, and as mentioned, Port Melbourne had a 2-goal defeat over Coburg. Port Melbourne 22 goals, 12, 144. Coburg 19 goals, 18, 132. Both full forwards today are going for their 100 goals. Fred Cook has 97, has 3 to get. Robert Smith has 92, 8 to get. And incidentally, in 17 years of VFA football, Coburg have only defeated Port Melbourne once out here, and that was in 1976.
Righto, Ian. Well, always one of the big features down here at Port Melbourne on the final match of the season is One Eye Hill. They erect a tent over there. I think they have about an 18 or something. And what do they call it?
That is Sunbury Hill.
Oh, that's right.
That's Sunbury Hill down there, Phil, and if the camera cares to pick up the other end of the ground, you'll find the ladies' end, and that is referred to as Blueberry Hill. And the ladies, with all their Port Melbourne Guernseys, are on today, so you've got Blueberry Hill to our camera right when it comes up.
Well, there it is.
There
you can see it in there now. And they're all in their Port Melbourne jumpers. That's all the ladies, and the men are up the other end. The ladies are on the soft drink, the men are on the hard stuff up there.
Bet on it.
But they have asked me from the Port Melbourne Hill supporters to mention that they do regret the passing of one of Port's oldest supporters, Mrs. Lenari. She was 90 years of age, and they've reminded us that 5 years ago we sent our wishes for her 85th birthday. Well, we do pass on our condolences to the family from all the One Eye Hill mob here at Port Melbourne. Rain is just starting to fall here at the Borough. We'll be back right after this break. Ground, and as I mentioned a moment ago, rain is falling here now, but looking across the Bay Area, and that's towards the southwest, we find that there's a lot talking with Colin Kinnear.
Thanks very much, Phil, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Well, there's no doubt about it, it certainly is the match of the year and a possible preview to the grand final. Colin Kinnear, coach, Port Melbourne, I know you're well aware, is the only side that's beaten you this year.
That's right, Rob, yeah.
And you've had a good think about that. You're a statistics man. You obviously have examined why they beat you.
They beat us because we didn't play well on the day and we didn't win the ball enough. And yet for 3 quarters we probably outscored them. It wasn't a good performance by us, and that was the reason they beat us on that particular day.
Right, so you think it may have been just the day, Colin?
Well, whether say just today, I think the fact that we've won our other 16 games.
On the day, I'm saying.
Yeah, on the day, they played better than us, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now, Ted Henrys has done a few statistics here, being our statistics man. He said Coburg have only won once at Port Melbourne since 1963. Do you believe in hoodoos?
How many premierships did Coburg win in that time?
Well, I got a few more statistics because he thought you'd...
Statistics going back to 1963 don't mean a thing, do they? Because you got different personalities, you got different people, and the players like Laurie Burt weren't playing in 1963, so I don't go along with that. It's only what you can do, what these players can do today that counts, not what's happened in the past or what's going to happen in the future. It's just what we can give today.
Colin, there's no doubt, though, that players must be aware of hoodoos. Now, what do you do to get that hoodoo out of their mind?
Well, I don't believe it. I think,
I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about the players.
Well, if I don't believe it, it's my job to get it through to them. I don't believe in things like that because you're playing football, and whether you're playing on different grounds, you're playing with the same personnel, and you don't play in your home grounds in finals, and you've got to build a football side and players who will play on the ground, whether they're your biggest player or your smallest player. They're expected to play football and play it for you only play 20 games a year, Rob, and I think you've got to get the best out of yourself for those 20 games. If you miss one through injury or you two through injury, well, it's a little bit extra you've got to give the next game.
OK, Cole. We've got to talk about Fred Cook because he is going for that magic 100 today. He kicked 8 against you last time, and John had the job then, and he's got it again today.
Oh, look, I've got confidence in John Douglas. Probably the reason he kicked them the last time came back to the fact that we didn't put pressure on the player coming down the ground, and that was our ruck rovers, our centre players and our half-forward line. And Cook was able to take marks running at the ball. And I think, if you remember correctly, he kicked 7 in the first half, didn't he? 1 in the second half.
That's right. Mm. Well, Colin, the boys are very, very quiet now. It's only a few minutes before they run out onto the ground. What do you do now that you've, when we finish this interview? Do you start revving them up? What do you do? Oh,
yeah, certain players build themselves up differently, but we've had, we've come from a team meeting and we've got all our thoughts together, and 5 minutes before the game, I'll just say a couple of things I have to. If we're not prepared now, before the game at this particular stage, then, well, we haven't done our work. It's not what you do the last half an hour before a game, Rob, as you probably realise. It's a thing that's got to be built up so that when you go for the ball, even if you win it the first 5 times and you get beaten the 6th time, that you've built yourself to the extent that you're not going to be beaten, and that only comes by preparation.
OK, Colin, we'll let you go. I know there's no one better in the VFA more qualified to building the boys up than you, so we'll let you go and do it. OK. Well, that's it. Always interesting, very interesting to talk to Colin Kinnear because I personally believe he's one of the most astute coaches in the VFA, and he's certainly got the success on the board. Well, we'll go across and have a chat to Gary Brice because that's always an interesting scene in the Port Melbourne rooms, coming up in just a few moments.
Yeah, we're all particularly interested up here, Rob, to hear the talk there from Cole Kinnear, and we do back up your statement there that he's one of the most astute coaches in VFA football today. Not only one of the most astute, but he's also one of the most intense coaches, and he does his homework and does a lot of study prior to the big games here on a Sunday. And this is a big game, mark my words, for him here today. It is a preview of the second semi-final for sure, and we should have a big crowd down here at the Borough for today's big game. But now Rob has moved over to the Port Melbourne dressing room, so we'll take you down to Rob again and to Gary Brice.
The atmosphere in the Port Melbourne rooms today is one of, well, a lot of confidence, let's put it that way. I was going to use another word, but I better not because I got the coach of Port Melbourne standing beside me. Gary Brice, have you built the boys up today?
Well, I've left it up to the boys, really, to build themselves up. I think if they can't get keen for this game, then there's something wrong with them.
The word I was going to use was overconfident.
Certainly we're not overconfident.
They are very keen, aren't they?
I'd say rather it's keenness and enthusiasm rather than overconfidence.
You're the only side to beat them this year, and you're playing at home.
Also 4 games on top of us, so obviously they're a better side at this stage.
Right. Well, now, are you treating it as a grand final? Because it may well be.
Well, for us it has to be. If we don't win today, we've got a chance of dropping down to 3rd and lose a double chance. So it's a do-or-die effort for us.
Well, we've got to mention Freddie Cook and he's just walked in behind us, in fact. Freddie's going for the magic ton today. Gary, how do you feel about that? I guess as a coach you'd rather play it down a little bit, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that doesn't concern me at all. OK, it's a personal goal for Freddie. Terrific if he gets it, but I don't care if he doesn't kick a goal as long as we win.
Right. Now, he told me during the week that he's had 2 weeks off because of his injured ankle, and he said if he was playing anywhere else on the ground, like a ruckman or a centreman or something like that, where he had to do a lot of moving, he probably wouldn't be fit. Now, what have you got to say about that?
Well, when he gets out in the ground, he's 100% fit, otherwise he wouldn't play. And if he can't get that out of his mind, and I'm sure he can, we've spoken about it, he's got to be prepared to do everything that he would normally do, even if his ankle was okay.
I'm just watching now over in the corner a fella called Stephen Allender, young bloke who's had a terrific year, Gary. You must be very pleased with him.
Yes, I am. I'm very pleased. Stephen started the season, we had him in the back line through necessity, and I thought he performed fairly well there, and he performed with, you know, years in advance of what you would expect of a young player, but allowing him a bit more freedom on the ball certainly brought the best out of him.
Yes, well, he's certainly got a big future, there's no doubt about that. I've got a couple of statistics here that Ted Henrys has given me. Last week, 3 Port Melbourne players had 95 possessions. Burt, 39 possessions, which is amazing. Halbert, 30, and Don't, 26. You're going to have to watch them today.
We have to watch the whole side. They are a good side. There's no, otherwise they wouldn't have only lost 1 game. They've got a lot of good players, and, you know, we hope that we encounter their good players.
Right, you're selected in the centre. Will you line up there, Gary?
Well, we'll have to see, won't we? Hey?
I asked a similar question to Colin Kinnear about one of his players, Malcolm Collins, whether he's playing today, but he was very evasive there too, so I guess that's your prerogative.
Right. Yeah, that's, you know, they don't want to give anything away, we don't either. It's going to be a big game, and I'm sure the people watching will really see it's a good match.
Righto, Gary, there's no doubt about that. We know you won't let us down, and good luck for today's game. Well, there he is. As I said before, always an interesting man to speak to, Gary Brice and Colin Kinnear, the respective coaches today. I don't think I have to harbour on the point that it's going to be a great game. We'll be back in just a moment with the toss of the coin. I hope you'll stay with us for the big match.
Cleary is playing in the Coburg side. So now, with the umpires also coming out on the ground in their A&A jackets, let's check them off. The field umpire is umpire Roy Groom, 3 years with the VFA. The boundary umpire Frank Donnelly, 3 years with the VFA. And Greg Shink, 3 years with the VFA, and Frank's father in hospital and watching there today too. The goal umpire is Ian Thompson, 12, and Graham Rogers, 7 years. The emergency umpire is Don McBain, 10 years with the VFA, and the umpire board representative is Les Keeling. Right, now let's check off the teams as they were selected on Thursday night. Ted Henrys.
Yes, Phil, we're looking at the home side first, and we hear that from Gary Brice, no changes in that team. We'll just wait and see when they come out, Phil, whether there are or not. And the Coburg side, Coburg, as rumoured, Malcolm Collins is not out on the ground, and in his place, obviously, is Phil Cleary. The volatile Phil Cleary will be playing for Coburg today in place of Mel Collins.
Yes, it's a big loss to the Coburg side, because I've always felt that Collins is one of the best half-forwards in VFA.
Phil Cleary won't appreciate that.
I know. Well, Phil, I like Phil as a player. He's spectacular and he's exciting to watch, but Collins is probably one of the best half-forwards in VFA football today. And I think you'll agree with that, as we have now Port Melbourne coming out on the ground, and listen to the cheers from the Boroughs. Big atmosphere down here today for this big game. Now let's check off the Coburg side, Ted, again.
Yes, Phil, the only change in that Coburg side is Cleary coming into the side in place of Malcolm Collins. Here you can see Collins on that half-forward flank, his place taken by Phil Cleary.
Right, and of course you'll get those in your armchair service in today's Observer with all the numbers of the players. Now let's look at Port Melbourne.
Well, Port Melbourne, Phil, just looking around there, it appears to be the side that was selected in the Port Melbourne side, and there it is. No doubt they will not line up like that, Phil. Swan will open up in the centre. Brice will be half-back flank. O'Neill will be on full-back and on Robert Smith, and no doubt Peter Hall will be on centre half-back on Ron Beattie.
Right, other matches being played in and around Melbourne today. The big one, of course, is the second semi-final in second division, and that's between Yarraville and Brunswick. But let's have a look at the first division matches being played, Ted.
Yes, Phil, we have the important games, all of the important games today. Preston play Paran at Preston, Frankston versus Caulfield, Camberwell versus Dandenong, another important game, and the final in there, Sandringham versus Geelong West.
We'll keep you up to date right throughout the afternoon with a terrific score service. Let's check off the first division ladder as it stands at the present time. Right, Ted?
Well, a very interesting situation, Phil, as we've already mentioned. Coburg, Port Melbourne, Geelong West and Prandon in the 4. Half a game out is Dandenong, as we see there. Sandringham 1 full game out. So if Port lose today and Geelong West win, Geelong West will go to second, Port Melbourne will drop to third. If Paran get defeated today, and Dandenong or Sandringham win, either of those sides could go up into the 4 in place of Prahran. But the key is Prahran must be defeated for that to happen.
Well, the rain has stopped down here at Port Melbourne. The wind blowing straight down the ground towards the Williamstown Road end of the ground, and that's where the advantage will be today. The forecast, of course, is quite interesting. We expect a couple of showers later on in the afternoon, although they must have changed it because this morning they were saying showers, but now the official forecast, fine, cool and sunny, northwest winds 15 to 20 knots and the current temperature 17 degrees. Let's get a bit of the atmosphere down on the ground with Rob Asprey.
Right, thanks very much, Phil. We have Roy Groom with us at the moment. Roy's trying to get Gary Brice's attention. Roy, just quickly, the condition of the ground.
Oh, excellent, Rod, yes.
We had a bit of rain a few moments ago. Has that caused any trouble?
No, not at all, no. It's a slight wind now. It could be about a 4-goal advantage.
A 4-goal advantage to the Williamstown Road end. Okay, well, look, there's my 20 cents, so look after it. And you go and get Gary Brice, and we'll do the toss. If we could just have the respective coaches over. Just having a look at the hills up there, Phil. Blueberry Hill. What was the end of the other end? What do they call the other end, Phil? There's Blueberry Hill and the other end is Sunbury Hill. That's right, yes. Blueberry Hill and Sunbury Hill. And I think we're going to get quite a bit of action from that end of the, or those ends of the ground before the day out. Of course, the day is over. Of course, the girls go to one end and the blokes go to the other end. And it's usually works out to be a great day. Well, look, we're still waiting for the coaches or captains to come across. So we just may go back to you for a moment, Phil, if you've got any more details for us. And as soon as we're ready down here, we'll come back for the toss.
Righto, well, there we have them on the Sunbury Hill down there. And I was just looking at the tent they've got. I think it's an A&L flag they've got. That's up at this other end at Blueberry Hill with the girls. Anyway, they're enjoying it. Look at this. Anyway, Charlie Edwards has given us a dozen for the best player on the ground here today, which could be interesting. Yes, Bill?
This is the best atmosphere I've experienced throughout the season. Would you subscribe to that, Phil?
Yes, I would, Bill. We've said all along that this is like a final today, and when you get an atmosphere like this, everything lifts, and I'm sure the play will go in a similar way today. Again, back to Rob Asprey.
Yeah, well, thanks very much, Phil. While we were talking about Blueberry Hill and Hill up the other end, the toss was affected, and I'm sorry about that. It's all those pretty girls over on Blueberry Hill. But I can tell you that Port Melbourne did win the toss, and they are kicking to the Williamstown Road end, which is the end favoured by the breeze. And I think that's pretty important because, as the umpire said, Roy Groom, he estimates it to be a four-goal wind advantage and freshening. Back to you, Phil.
Righto, and now over at Toorak Park in Prahran for the second semi-final in second division, Yarraville versus Brunswick. We have former Richmond centre man, top VFL player, and a top VFA player this year coaching Oakley, Bill Barrett, with former umpire Brian Turner. What about today's big game over there, Bill Barrett?
Well, excellent conditions, Phil, for today's clash at Toorak.
And Bill Jacobs and Ted Henrys with where their money will be today. All right, back to the big game here, and look at the move around in the centre around umpire Roy Groom. We have the two big fellows in Annanson and also Milroy, the two ruckmen. They'll be watching one another today, and of course there are twin brothers here today, the two Curran brothers. Laurie Curran plays for Coburg, and for Port Melbourne, Kevin Curran. Twin identical. I don't know whether they're identical. We'll check that up in a minute. But here we go with the bounce, and let's see what happens here. And Milroy is the player to get the knockout, and he was interfered with as well. And Annanson has the free against him, and look, it's on already, right in the centre. And look at them go here. We told you the tension would be on, and they're into it here within 10 seconds of the start of the game. Young Goss was one of the players in there with the punch-up right in the centre of the ground. And Vic Annanson giving one there to the big fellow in Ron Beattie. Beattie moves back. He's the captain of the Coburg side. So I tell you what, you better stick with us today. There'll be some action around here. And the umpire bringing Annanson right down the ground and brought him down 60, well, I wouldn't say 60 metres, 40 metres at least, down the ground to the centre half forward position. So Milroy can line them up now, kicking into the wind. towards the Yarra River end. Smith getting into position, punched away from him, straight into the hands of Cleary, then into the hands of Halbert. Halbert shot for goal and he's put it through. 1 minute after the commencement of play, and a sensational opening to the game. Ted Henry.
Well, it certainly was a sensational opening. I don't know what was carrying on there before the bounce, Phil, but obviously words must have been spoken between players, because as soon as that ball was bounced, it was on. So the players have built up tremendous tense here today for this big game.
Right now, we're just waiting on the bounce to take place once again. Umpire Roy Groom, the field umpire. The big fellows go up. This time it's Anderson getting the knockout from the ruck, but it went down to Terry Don't. Don't of Coburg puts it straight in the hands of Frank Johnson. Johnson out towards Evans. Whistle blowing. Umpire awarding a free kick, and now Evans has the chance to get on with the game, but again a 15-metre penalty being applied, and this is against the player on the field is Cleary, Phil Cleary. Cleary now from the half-forward line is defending, and this is against Evans. Evans now gets his kick in, up towards the centre-forward zone, looking for Cook. He has it punched away. Gee, they got the big fellas around him down there. Ebeyer came into it. He couldn't break away with the ball. Going down to the ground is Gary Brice. The umpire gives a free out of it, and it will go to Brice, the captain and coach of Port Melbourne. Thought he may have been caught holding the ball there, but the umpire has given it holding the man. So Brice.
If anything, the umpire gave the indication too it was holding the ball.
Yes, but his hands might have been going ahead of his mind then, because there goes the kick on its way, and there's the equaliser 2.5 minutes after the commencement of play. Great football here at Port Melbourne today. And immediately the ball bounced, sent up towards the half-forward line. It's Christou moving into it. That's Jim Christou to Johnson. Johnson up towards the right-forward pocket. Look at Cook go for it. Couldn't quite lunge at the ball early enough, and it's gone over the line. So now we'll see the throw-in the right-forward pocket at the Williamstown Road end of the ground. Port Melbourne into attack, kicking with the wind. You heard the umpire say to Rob Asprey, felt it was a 5-goal win. Milroy reaching up over the top. The umpires picked a free out of it, and it will be taken by Saltmarsh in defence for Coburg. So Coburg now up towards Douglas. Douglas at centre half back takes the mark. Players moving into position. They're getting the ball moving, Coburg, and the mark has been taken by Brad Nimmo. Nimmo now from between the centre and the wing. He keeps it moving towards the half-forward line, and Terry Don't was the player. Bang, they go to one another. They give it away immediately as Don't takes off away from Swan. There goes the kick across towards centre half forward. No one able to trap the ball, but the opportunity then for Herbert to come through. He gets it across to Fisher. Fisher shoots for goal. No, it's through for full points.
Back in the centre, Port going to attack again. Good hand passing. Out of the centre, Swan trying to get in the game, but it's Coburg out of the centre over to their half-forward line. Quickly Dermott, number 25, getting it in turn to Hall. Hall out the centre wing, and that's good football, Port Melbourne from Wilkinson. Wilkinson blasts up towards centre half forward. Will find Christou, who goes for goal. And it's a goal to Port Melbourne. That's great stuff, Port. Overcoming the nerves and the edginess, and they took it out of the centre beautifully there.
No doubt about it, Bill. This is the best opening we've seen this year without any doubt whatsoever. A very exciting opening as soon as the ball was bounced there, and the football being displayed by both sides so far with 2 goals each. You couldn't expect better anywhere.
That's the score on the Olympic Tyre scoreboard, and you're watching it live on 10. Umpire moving in, as you see. Great crowd, great atmosphere, slaps it down. Milroy in front berth, but there's been one too many there over the line. And the free kick is going to go to Port Melbourne to Anderson, the big fellow. Wanted to do battle with Milroy early. Didn't get much advantage from it. It's gone up to the full-back area for Douglas. Douglas, a good player for Coburg, snaps the handball. That's the way to hand pass across there into Hartigan, and Hartigan will go to the grandstand side of the ground. Overrunning it was number 18 Cleary, and 34 of Coburg. Curran went in to trade bumps. That's close to centre wing. Port attacking to the Williamstown Road end to the left of your screen. Ruck smash, and it'll be a free kick against Port, I fancy. And it will go to Burt. Burt's at half-back flank for Coburg. Not the greatest kick to go into the breeze with, but nevertheless it's up to the half-forward line. Halbert was pouncing on it, number 2 of Coburg, but the umpire will bounce to get the game underway once again. Olympic Tyre scoreboard, 2 goals apiece. And that's the score 6 minutes into the first term here at Port Melbourne. Good bounce. Annanson successful there, down in the direction of Wescombe, but it flips out to Brice. Brice gets it further afield, but the umpire has found a free kick, and it's going to go to Wescombe of Coburg, who's found good form at the right end of the season. Playing well in recent weeks. That's a 15-metre penalty, and the players should realise what the umpire is going to do. He's going to keep it moving. Wescombe comes up to half-forward flank. Good kick in towards the full forward spot. Smith knocked it to Cleary, and it's through for another goal, I think. It's touched on the way through. Touched in transit, and that takes Coburg on to 2-1, and they're just at 1 point ahead of Port Melbourne's 2 goals on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Number 24 there on your screen is O'Neill, the Port Melbourne fullback, and he will put it back into play, up to the line. Kicks well, straight down the ground. Milroy spoiling, out of the pack to Swan. Swan breaking the tackle, up to centre half forward, too far for Allender, and sitting at the back. Play on as the call as it comes out to Goss. Coburg through Hartigan. Hartigan, oh, that's throwing the ball and holding the ball against Curran of Coburg, and Wilkinson is the recipient.
OK, Wilkinson now from the half-forward line goes for the long kick up towards Cook. Cook comes out into the right forward pocket, and he's fallen right into it. So he's taken the mark deep in the right forward pocket. Has the chance for the wind to drag it through because he's kicking towards the Williamstown Road end of the ground, and the wind will be blowing across the flight of the ball. It's right under his own sign out there. He's going for his 98th goal for the season. Fred Cook. Comes in right under his humour and puts the ball on its way. It's not a bad shot, but 1 point is the result. A minor score, so that evens up the scores again, both sides on 2 goals, 1. Very vocal crowd down here at Port Melbourne today, and Douglas has a kick to himself as he takes off now. Hartigan it is, and Hartigan now plays it to Douglas, and Douglas on the half-back line has taken the mark. He sees a lead up on the half-forward line. The players move under the ball. Beats in there. He got a bit of a shove, and umpire Roy Groom, keeping very strict control on the game, has given the free. So it's Beattie to take the free. Sends it up towards the half-forward line. Players come in under the ball, punch down well here, but there's Terry Don't going around. Give him a little bit of a shove then by Terry O'Neill, and it's gone over the line. Deep in the right forward pocket here for Coburg. Both sides even on 2-1. Annanson goes up, bang, over his head, gets it out towards Swan. Swan passes to his skipper, Brice. Brice now in towards the centre of the ground. Players racing after it. There's Johnson going in with Fisher right behind him. Neither player get the advantage. Over the top of it they go. And Wescombe gets a trip, and he'll get the free kick. Right in front of the umpire, only 2 metres away. So Wescombe from centre half forward, indicating the umpire that he wants little Ebeyer away from the mark, and there goes the kick on its way up towards Smith. Coming in behind Smith, nearly a bit late was O'Neill, but he gets it down to the ground, and there's Wilkinson waiting for the bounce. Down he goes, nearly got a kick in the head as Cleary picks it up, shoots it towards the left forward pocket over the line. Checking the score servers, Port Melbourne 2-1, so also Coburg, and we've only been playing a total of 10 minutes into the game. Here comes Annanson with a big knockout. Gets it out in the direction of his teammate in Hall. He couldn't get away. Round the neck, says the umpire. And the free kick goes Coburg's way. And it will be taken by Wescombe. He's had 3 free kicks. Wescombe. And now he's within scoring range on a 45-degree angle and about that far out from goal, 45 metres. Kicking into the breeze. But more than the breeze, into the wind. He keeps it low too, guides it on its way offline, however, and 1 point, but that enables Coburg to hit the front. They move on to 2-2, a total of 14, and Port Melbourne are on 13 points at the moment. To take the kick-off, we have Terry O'Neill, the full-back of the Port Melbourne side. A little bit hesitant as he's about to move out, but now gets the lead and drops it a bit short. Oh, and a bad miss then by Dermott. Backing up well is his little teammate in Johnson, not too little, gets it across to Brice, Brice across field, Milroy stretches the long arms out, and Milroy pulls in the mark for Coburg. Milroy from the left half-forward flank, all 6'6" of him. Tall, rangy ruckman. There'll be a great duel between these 2 players today, Milroy and Annanson. Annanson, the more experienced, although Milroy's had a lot of experience. A beautiful kick by Milroy, and he's hit the post 3 parts of the way up. Bad luck. And that takes Coburg on to 2 goals, 3, 15. Port Melbourne a 2-1, 13. We're at the 12-minute mark into the first quarter. Rob.
Yes, and we have a fantastic game here at Port Melbourne. We said it'd have all the ingredients of a grand final, and it hasn't let us down. Into the centre of the ground. Going forward now is Saltmarsh. Gets it across, and it's Port Melbourne there, but the umpire has told Wescombe he infringed, and he'll give the kick to the Port Melbourne player in Hall. Hall now says he's going to direct the ball right across the centre of the ground. It is a big kick too. Players set themselves up. They go high. A very high mark there by Allender, but play on, says the umpire. He went hard for it. Out on the outer flank now. Hartigan it is who's got the ball in front of him. Having trouble picking it up. Now he does so. Decides to handball to a teammate going past. It's Curran who kicks the ball down to the half-forward flank position, and it's Brice defending all by himself. Brice now, the captain and coach of Port Melbourne, on the outer wing in front of the grandstand there. Players going high, grabbing the ball, directing it forward is Ebeyer now. Ebeyer goes towards Freddie Cook. He's moving out. He can't take it on this occasion. Now it's Coburg defending. Coming down the centre half-back position is Halbert. Halbert takes one bounce. There's another bounce by Halbert. He'll go for another. He's at the wing position now. Down to the half-forward flank position for Coburg, and it's a mark to Burt. Burt immediately plays on. There's his kick into the scoring zone for Coburg, and Smith has taken a great mark. Oh, a real pressure mark there by Smith. O'Neill had the front berth, but Smith, using his bulk, pushed his opponent out quite legally, and has the opportunity now. He decides to play on. Play on, says the umpire. There's the kick right across the face of goal and out on the full. Well, Ted, did he do the right thing there?
Well, no doubt he did the wrong thing from the result of it, but if I'd have been Smith, I think I'd have gone back from the angle he was on, because he didn't gain much when he moved around.
And there's no doubt about it. He did have the protection there of the wind too. It's quite protected there. There's Anderson going up for the mark against Milroy. A great contest there. Ebeyer going in hard. Picking it up as Cleary. Cleary, who's coming to the side today, gets it across to Halbert. Halbert right across to the centre half-forward position. It's picked up by Burt. He kicks it into the forward pocket position. The big men are going in now. And it's Smith who's got the front berth. He taps the ball back between his legs. O'Neill now down on the ground, fighting desperately for the ball, and the umpire will call for it in the forward pocket position. We have a great match on our hands here. Coburg leading by just 2 points. 2 points only. There's the bounce right in the forward pocket position. Getting the ball down is Swan. Kicks it back to the going towards the wing position. It's Herbert coming in. He's had a few kicks today. Herbert balks around his opponent. Wilkinson handballs across to Pitt. Pitt can't take the ball. Now coming in is Evans. Evans handballs wildly. It's Wilkinson who takes it, but he's caught. But too high, says the umpire. And he'll take.
He slipped into that nicely, Rod.
Yes, he certainly did. He knew what he was doing there, and I think he went over the mark. Umpire Roy Groom has paid a 15-metre penalty. Wilkinson handballs to Swan. Swan now will direct the ball down to the centre half-forward position. It's Cook coming out. The sun's in his eyes. Oh, he missed that one. As I said, the sun was in his eyes. Otherwise, normally, Fred Cook would have made that a sitter.
Right, Rob, now we're just waiting on the ball to be put back into play at the Williamstown Road end of the ground. Right down near the forward zone for Port Melbourne. Players move in under the ball. Knocked out here by O'Reilly. But Saltmarsh clears it towards the half-back line. There's Goss moving in on the ball, but it's gone over the line and out. Checking the scores, we have Coburg 2-3, Port Melbourne 2-1. Bill.
Boundary throw in, and it's Milroy, and Milroy gained the advantage there. Several players wrestling. It'll be Evans. Evans out of the pack, snaps up towards the goal base. Knocked away by Cook. Running into goal, Christou. And it's gone across the face of goals and through for 1 point only. I think I'd query umpire Groom's assessment of it being a 4-goal wind at that end of the ground. When you say it's a 4-goal wind, you mean it's an advantage of 4 goals, not just a 4-goal wind. And I doubt if it's that, because Coburg have kicked the ball well when they've come into attack at the river end of the ground. That's Cleary, number 18, getting edged out, and he'll get the free kick. Cleary, who replaced Collins in the selected side, and Cleary's at half-back flank for Coburg. They're coming around the member side of the ground, and they're attacking to the river end, and that's a bad kick by Cleary. The vocal Port Melbourne crowd there, pretty wrapped in that, as far as they were concerned, because it's given a free kick to their player, and it's Davies. Out wide and up towards the half-forward line. Allender trying to get into the game, but in front was O'Reilly. Flipped it out to Goss. Goss couldn't handle it at all. Umpire close on the scene, allowing play to go, and eventually finds a push in the back. The 4th free kick to Wescombe. No, it's going the other way and taken by Pitt. Hand passing to Cleary, as you saw. But they're going back to an incident behind play. And the umpire needs to remain in control, because this is a fiery one. It started off in fiery fashion, and it's got all the ingredients to make it really spark. And eventually the umpire's decided that he's going to bounce it. Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Coburg a point in front. 2-3 to 2-2. That's 15 to 14. And we've played 16.5 minutes in the first term here at Port Melbourne. Milroy again getting it out. Port will take it away to Wilkinson. Wilkinson kicking long. Looking up there for Cook. Fighting with Douglas. Through for 1 point. 1 point only. So the scores are even. 2 goals, 3 apiece on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Hartigan kicking to a lead up there by Nimmo, and Nimmo will take the mark, and a free kick to boot if the umpire needed to pay it. Allender standing the mark, number 6. Allender, number 6 of Port Melbourne. And Nimmo's kick is coming around to centre wing, and that will be a mark to Hall. And a forearm jolt. What's going to happen? Hall will retain the ball. He's at centre wing, and Gary Brice goes in with some words of encouragement and probably pacifying him also. Hall from centre wing, going towards the Williamstown Road end. It's a huge kick. A chance there for Douglas to the ground, and the umpire will give Douglas the free kick. Coburg doing the better of the two teams in my estimation. They've got 2-3 apiece on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard, and they work the ball over to the grandstand side of the ground, looking for Curran. Swan is in for Port Melbourne, flipping it out to Goss. Goss putting his body in, and the umpire indicates it will be his ball in the forward pocket for Port Melbourne at the Williamstown Road end.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bill. Coburg are playing the better football. They're more positive in what they're doing. There's more understanding between their players than Port Melbourne's.
Using the ball to better advantage too as they attack into the teeth of the wind, as it were, and coming out of there is Saltmarsh, getting it to Hartigan. Hartigan can't handle it. Out of bounds. Throw in, boundary umpire's work, forward pocket, right forward pocket, Williamstown Road end.
OK, Bill, and we have the scores dead set level. Port Melbourne 2-3, Coburg also on 2-3. Back it comes once again. Look at the scramble down there, and the umpire blowing the whistle. He's got a free kick out of it, and it will be taken by Saltmarsh. Saltmarsh playing from the back pocket is coming in for his 4th kick there from the Williamstown Road end of the ground. Gets a lead from the half-back line, put it over Doak's head, and the mark has been taken by Goss. Now this is Goss getting ready for his 2nd kick, about to come in with Yarraville 1-1, trailing Brunswick 3-5. There goes the kick on its way, up they go, and there's a mark in the middle of the pack. The umpire has paid it. Douglas has elected to play on, and Douglas now defending well for Coburg. Puts it around the outer wing, and the mark has been taken by Brice. Brice immediately plays on across wide of centre half forward. Wilkinson again in every bit of play comes in to take the mark. So Wilkinson now getting ready to kick it down towards the forward zone with his 4th kick. It's not a bad old roost either. Towards that centre forward zone, and Cook is pushed into the ball. Actually tripped into the ball, and it's a good mark by Cook. So he has the opportunity to come in for his 98th goal. Fred Cook, kick 1 behind so far today, and ready to go for his shot for his 98th goal. So he's lining them up at the Williamstown Road end of the ground. Both sides on 2 goals, 3, and Cook now makes it 3 goals, 3 to Port.
Well, with some insurance companies...
OK, back here and there we have the Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Port Melbourne 1 goal up, and they're into attack again. It comes out towards Allender. Allender is the boy to grab the ball. He's being tackled this time by Laurie Curran of Coburg. Over they go, and the umpire has given the free kick to Ebeyer. Ebeyer now in towards centre half forward, and it was Wilkinson coming in to take quite a good mark. Wilkinson swings the play back towards centre half forward. Good play, and Swan has taken the mark right on the line there. Swan getting a lead, and he keeps it low out towards that left half forward flank. And there's Evans moving out to the ball, turns rather slowly, but then puts it high towards centre forward. Up they go, and there's a push in the back down here, pretty obvious, and the free kick will be taken by Robert Herbert. Herbert from the half-back line sees the lead up here from his skipper in Beattie. Beattie bit far under the ball, but Hall getting him by the arm, and the free kick will be taken by the skipper of Coburg in Ron Beattie. Ron Beattie now from the outer wing towards the half-forward line. Smith coming in from behind, fast to take the mark, and trying to burst through them this time was O'Neill. O'Neill gets it to Brice. Brice to the wing, and the mark has been taken by Swan. Swan to Hall, Evans to Hall, then up towards Goss. Goss having trouble handling the ball. Scoop back in the direction of Johnson. He couldn't get away with it, and then bearing in on it is Brad Nimmo of Coburg, holding the ball, we thought. The umpire blows the whistle, but he's given a free kick for around the neck, and the free kick will be taken down here by Goss of Port Melbourne. So Goss from the half-forward line now. The umpire blowing the whistle. and the player refusing to move back on the mark was Brad Nimmo, so there's a 15-metre penalty applied. I think this umpire, Roy Groom, is doing a good job, Ted.
He's doing a good job, Phil. When you remember the opening, what he opened up with that bit of a dust up there, and I think he's got it in complete control and doing a good job. Made a couple of mistakes, in my opinion, but who wouldn't under these conditions?
What's the free kick situation, Ian?
Coburg 14, Port Melbourne 8.
Righto, and now here goes Goss. You can hear him bang the boot into the ball. It's a beautiful kick too, but it was offline and through for 1 point, which takes Port Melbourne on to 3 goals for 22 and Coburg 2-3, 15. Rob.
Thank you, Phil. We've now played 22 minutes into the first quarter, and what a quarter it is too. And I don't think at this stage, and the other commentators agree with me, that Port Melbourne have taken full advantage of this breeze. Now it's Saltmarsh coming out on the back pocket position. He turns around, an awkward-looking kick coming back to Brice, who will accept that mark with delight. I would say he'd kick the ball down, right down to Fred Cook. On the half-forward flank position is Brice. He's coming in now. There's his kick. It's going to be close. It's moving in. The umpire comes across, and it's full points to Port Melbourne. Brice's second goal, and kicks to this stage, certainly one of the best men on the ground, and showing his teammates how it should be done. There's the bounce. Coming down now, trying to pick it up as Wescombe. He does so, but he's clobbered very quickly. Moving in is Swan. Swan will get his kick down to the half-forward flank position. Players under the ball there, and it's Saltmarsh defending for Coburg. He'll give his... He'll give the ball across to Douglas. Douglas on the outer side of the ground, kicks it out on the full, over the line. And, yes, Phil?
Yes, Bill Barrett will probably have a score for us over at Toorak Park. Rob, what is it going like over there, Bill?
Quite a good, excellent game of football, Phil. Yarraville 2-1-13, Brunswick 5-7, 37 kicking with a win. Both sides are playing top-class football. The ball's been moved down the end of the ground from one end to the other very quick, so it's a very entertaining game of football.
Right, we'll be coming back to you often throughout the afternoon. Bill Barrett. Rob.
Yes, Phil. Port Melbourne 4 goals 4, 28, leading Coburg 2 goals 3, 15, and it's over there right in front of the big grandstand. A free kick going to Dermott. There's the first kick for that player, right in towards the centre of the ground. Players going up high. Allender's getting up today, but he's not taking the ball. He's got to concentrate more on getting the ball rather than getting up high. Fisher comes out for Coburg. Right there in the centre of the ground, an awful kick by Fisher. Coming out this time, the outer side of the ground. Herbert picks the ball up, has a little bit of a look. There's the kick, back towards the centre half-forward position. Wescombe's there. He's under the ball. It's all Port Melbourne. Sport beautifully. Now it's Clary who's got the ball. He runs round. He's got to be quick. He gets away from his opponent. He has one bounce, walks around his opponent. There's his kick for goal, and the umpire says not all clear.
No, what happened there, I thought he may have been grabbed a bit high, but the umpire's saying he retarded his progress. Preston 4-1, leading Paran 1 point. Dear, oh dear, this is the important score coming through. Dandenong yet to score against Camberwell.
Allender again gets up high and taps the ball down. It gives the chance for Port Melbourne to go forward. Cross now. Burt gets the first go of the ball, but he decides to let his teammate and Saltmarsh come through. Saltmarsh kicks the ball out to the wing position on the outer side of the ground. Coming through is Herbert, but it's Don't who gets the front position. He's caught, gets the ball across. Players going in hard is Swan. Swan picks it up. He goes for a bit of a run. There's the kick and lead by Freddie Cook. He's out in front. He can't take it on this occasion. But he recovers beautifully. Shoots in towards goal and through for a point. He's missed it.
He's missed his 99th. So there it is. Cook stays on 98 at this stage. And he had plenty of time because his opponent was on the ground. But Cook over anxious to get these goals here today. What do you think, Bill?
I think Coburg are suffering a little bit from the umpiring at this stage of the game, to be sure. I think they've been it's been rather rough on them, but however, that's all part of the game. It's Hall to Goss, and Goss to Ebeyer. Ebeyer half-forward flank, streaming towards goal. Boots long. Douglas beating Cook, takes the mark. Douglas, the fullback for Coburg. He's lifted his game a little bit today, and Douglas kicks wide, and the ball goes to the line and then over.
Well, Douglas has got the biggest task of any player on the ground, I'd say, at this point of time, Bill.
I think he's up to it too. It's half-forward flank for Port Melbourne. And Annenson getting it down there. Burt too high the tackle. Burt will take the free kick for Coburg in their back pocket. Right back pocket as they look upfield towards the Yarra end. Olympic Tyres scoreboard, Coburg 2-2, 2-3, trailing Port 4-5. And that's at 27-minute mark, and that's the score on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Wilkinson went down looking for the free kick, didn't get it. The umpire will have to bounce. There's the cluster of players, as you see there. And the ball is stationed on centre wing, tending to get up towards Port Melbourne's half-forward line. 27 minutes into the first term. Milroy won the advantage there. Herbert thumps a little bit further field, and it's gone again. Over the line, Port Melbourne supporters screaming for holding the ball, and let us say this at this point, that there is a big crowd here, and I mean big, at Port Melbourne. Back into play. Milroy, no, it was O'Reilly, the advantage to Herbert. Further upfield, a chance for Halbert. Nicely taken by Halbert. Good tackling. You heard what I said, good tackling, and it was, and I don't think the free kick was there, but Coburg got it. Halbert across to the centre. Herbert a chance. Coburg players everywhere. Herbert going on. He can have another one as he breaks past one, slams the goal, and it's through for full points. Ebeyer was the first to get the boot to ball, and he transferred play to the half-forward line to Christou. Christou handling the ball well. Snaps it across towards centre half forward. Not an accurate delivery. Coming upfield was Douglas. Cook hung back and got possession. Dispossessed immediately. Gained it again. Snap for goal, and it's through for goal. 99 goals to Cook. Stevens, even though Port lead on the board, it's Milroy out of the centre as a result of a free kick. Up to Smith leading up there, and Smith has got the ball. Robert Smith of Coburg, the bulky full forward. Number 30 on the line there is Tolley. Coming off, Coburg was Burt. Now Smith, it's not beyond the capabilities of Smith to kick this distance. He's 40 metres out, 45. The wind's holding it up a little, it won't make the distance. And in front was O'Reilly. Good grab by O'Reilly, and Port through O'Reilly will repulse this Coburg attack. It's 5-5 to Port Melbourne. Coburg 3-3 on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard. O'Reilly choosing the grandstand or member side. Milroy couldn't complete the grab but got the free kick. And Coburg in attack in the dying moments of this term. Milroy, not in much of a hurry, will take the free kick.
And Milroy from that half-forward line now, with Port Melbourne on 5-5, Coburg on 3-3. Bit far out from goal with this wind the way it is, unless he keeps it pretty low. And the big fellow moves in. Milroy puts it on its way. It's a bit high, offline, goes out towards the pocket, and it's out on the full. So the free kick will be taken by O'Reilly of Port Melbourne. O'Reilly coming into the back pocket at the 31-minute mark. Frankston 4-2, trailing Caulfield, or leading Caulfield 3-4. Here's the kick on its way, up towards the half-forward line. They go up in the air, punched over the head there by Allender, but it goes into the hands of Pitt. Pitt gets it back to Milroy. The kick is smothered this time by Wilkinson. No one can break away with the ball, but the umpire's picking a free out of this. By gee, he's giving some frees here today, umpire Roy Groom. And he's given the free kick to Nimmo of Coburg. So Nimmo from the half-forward line races away, shoots it up towards Smith. Smith coming out, he'll go for the big leap. No, he decided to stay down. Comes into the middle of the pack with Halbert trying to break away. Taken by Hall. Hall gets it here. Oh, bad play on the part of Ebeyer. Very poor play indeed. It allows Don't to come in. He shoots for goal. And an equally poor kick as it goes over the line and out of bounds on the full. And so we'll see the free kick being taken. Well, it won't be taken now as the siren goes to end the quarter, and we have Port Melbourne leading. They're 5-5, 35 in a great, exciting game down here at Port Melbourne, and Coburg 3-3, a total of 21. All right, there it is to quarter time, and right now let's go to all our commentators, and first of all to Bill Jacobs. Your comments on the game, Bill.
Well, let me say this, that in the full knowledge that clubs watch these games as replays to pursue their thoughts on tactics, let me say that Port Melbourne have lost many a premiership for over-vigorous football. And they started the game like this, and they paid the penalty for a short time in this quarter by their excessive use of unwarranted vigour and illegal vigour. That being the case, Coburg were able to get away early, and they held the advantage until about 17 or 8 minutes into the term. I don't know what the scoreboard said then, but I know Coburg were looking the better team. But Port lifted. They have a lead. They have a lead at quarter time. I don't believe the wind is a 4-goal wind. I don't believe there's that much advantage in it, and I think that probably you will see the scores very, very close at half time. I'll be surprised if not. The honours of the quarter, as far as I'm concerned, were even.
Ted Henrys.
Well, that's one of the best quarters of football, Phil, that I have seen this year without any doubt whatsoever. It started up in exciting fashion, and Coburg took on from that bit of a melee at the opening of the game, and they played very well too. Their teamwork was superb. They were moving the ball very cleanly from player to player. Their small players once again were dominant, particularly Terry Don't in the middle, Herbert out on the half-forward flank, and also Phil Cleary, a last-minute replacement, was making his presence felt. But Brice, I felt that started the run for Port Melbourne probably just into that 10 minutes into that quarter, and he fired them right, and they played well, Port. Pretty even quarter, but I still would give the points to Port.
Yes, well, although Port are leading on the scoreboard, I felt that Coburg were containing them. I'm inclined to agree with Bill there that Coburg, to me, were playing the better football. There at one stage were 5 of them verging in on the ball in the centre with about 4 minutes to go in that quarter, and they got it up to the forward line. I agree that I don't think it's a 4-goal win. Once they keep it low from the half-forward line coming towards this northern end, the wind doesn't have all that much effect. But it'll be a close game, and it'll probably be still even, Stephen, at half-time. Ian, what do these statistics show?
3 Port Melbourne players roaming far and wide: Brice, Swan and Wilkinson. Brice, a good captain's game with 7 kicks, Swan 7 and Wilkinson 5. Coburg kick getters, Saltmarsh and Douglas are combining well down on the back line. Saltmarsh 6 kicks, Douglas 5. Cleary's picked up 3 kicks, but his delivery's been a bit poor. Port Melbourne goal kickers: 2 to Fred Cook, number 99 for the season, 2 to Brice, 1 to Tim Christou, and for Coburg, 1 each to Halbert, Fisher and Herbert. 3 kicks, 19 to Coburg and 10 to Port Melbourne.
Right, Port Melbourne 5-5, leading Coburg 3-3. Bill Barrett is over at Toorak Park. What's happening in the Brunswick-Yarraville game over there, Bill?
The scores here, Phil. Yarraville.
Isolation, Murray.
In the second leg, number 4, Delegate.
If you don't want to do it yourself, there are a lot.
Port Melbourne ground, we're getting ready to get underway for the second quarter. And Rob Asper is down on the ground for a report on what the coaches said. Rob.
Yes, I have Colin Kinnear with me right now. Colin, you'd be pleased with that quarter?
Not really, Rob. No, not at all.
Why not?
Well, I thought we were too slow in moving the ball, and our kicking let us down because of that slow movement.
Yeah. Well, what about Brice? He's doing extremely well, isn't he?
Yeah, he did do well, yeah.
Right. What did you say to the boys just then, Cole?
Oh, we just got, where our faults lay, and
right.
It was in our quick movement.
Okay.
Centre bounces we are down because our half-forwards and half-back aren't getting involved enough, Rob.
Righto, Colin. Thanks very much. OK, and as for Gary Brice, the Port Melbourne coach, he wasn't happy with a few players who he felt shirked the issue. He said there were too many loafers. He felt that the forward line was crowded. There was too much blasting away without thought, looking for the man up forward. He was also incensed about stupid handball mistakes. And that's what the coach has said, Phil.
Right, and there's Gary Brice taking a big deep breath as we're preparing to get underway for the second quarter. Listen to the crowd becoming very vocal. And we're looking forward to a fantastic final series now in the VFA. Be interesting to see what happens today in the other matches. We should have scores coming through from other grounds pretty soon. Particularly the quarter-time scores. We're running a bit ahead of the matches, of course, as you would realise. We start at 10 minutes, other matches start at 2:15. And there goes the indication to the timekeepers, and we're about to get underway for the second quarter. Big ruckmen opposing one another. Annans and Milroy. Bounce goes away from them. And this allows Burt to come in, but Don't is the player who's a bit devastating in the centre again today. He gets it out towards Halbert. Halbert now with a hand pass across here to Herbert. Herbert goes downfield, a long shot, and it's well on line, this one. And it's a goal to Coburg. And we have the ball coming back into the centre. A very quick goal, that one. 15 seconds after the commencement of play. Herbert was the player who moved in, and the scores now read: Port Melbourne 5-5, Coburg 4-3. Pressure really on Port Melbourne in this quarter. That was Herbert's second goal for the match so far, and it comes out to Burt. Burt bangs it back over his head, but it goes to Evans. Evans does a blind turn, passes back here, and it's Hall who kicks it into his own player, has the kick smothered, and it's Evans recovering very quickly to play the ball up towards the half-forward line. O'Reilly coming in from behind. He gets it away from his opponent, grabs the ball, gets it around the neck. He dived into that one, and now will appeal for a 15-metre penalty. Won't get it. So O'Reilly, Grant O'Reilly, towards that right forward pocket. Up they go. Oh, the umpire didn't know what to mark. And pick up by Ebeyer. Ebeyer shoots for goal. It's on its way and it's through. A goal to Port Melbourne. Have the ball coming up to Port's half-forward line, but Tolley using a bit of strength getting through. He gets it to Halbert. Halbert to Tolley. Tolley now will turn and then shoot it up towards the half-forward line. Moving in there is Hall. And Peter Hall takes the mark in defence for Port Melbourne. So Hall now from the half-back line with his kick over the centre line in front of the main stand. And it's O'Reilly coming in from behind, fails to take the mark. Pitt was grabbed in trying to get away with the ball. Terry Don't comes in on it, but Halbert's there to relieve the pressure. And Halbert now puts them into attack. It's towards that centre forward zone. And a free kick must be taken here by O'Neill. If it wasn't a mark, it's a free. He got pulled pretty high, gets it to Peter Hall, who's starting to dominate a bit in the game. And he's coming in for his 7th kick now, Peter Hall of Port. He kicks it towards the centre wing in front of the Port Melbourne stand, tapped down by Annanson. But it's Pitt who comes in on the ball, gets touched when not in possession, and he gets the free kick. So Pitt the younger. Getting ready, gets the hand pass in, gets it to Don't rides the bump nicely. It comes through to the big fellow Saltmarsh, but a pick up by Swan towards the centre forward zone. There's Allender coming out to Douglas. Douglas goes for the long hand pass, and it's touched there by Christou. He can't get away, but it comes back to him eventually. Christou swings it around to Wilkinson, who takes the mark. Wilkinson now, and there's a Port player in the hands of the trainers. Swan it is, back at centre half forward. He's got a bad right leg there by the look of it. There's Wilkinson coming in with a kick. It's not a bad kick. It'll go right to the forward zone. Cook goes up. He fails to take the mark. And it's pushed away from him, and 1 point is the result. I feel that Cook then should have shepherded and let that go through, Bill.
Oh, most certainly, yes. That's why I was a little bit worried about the situation there. However, it's Don't coming up from the half-back line and taking it away for Coburg. He's probably their best player, getting it to Tully. Tully across to Burt, who has yet to fire. Christou put in, helped Annanson gain possession, spinning well, the big fellow, out to the half-forward line, and away they go through Davies. Davies at half-forward flank. 4-3 Coburg, 6-6 Port, and Port looking better now as they work the ball around and get it in the safe arms of Evans. Evans will pass to a lead up by Cook. There's Cook on your screen. He's played it the other way, I think, hasn't he? Well, what was your verdict on that one? The fact remains that Cook has got it. He's kicked 99 goals for the year, and there'll be an invasion of this field if he puts it through. It's partially invaded now. And Cook, there he is, lining them up. 20 metres, 70-degree angle. Players, people everywhere. And Cook has put it post. There's anti-climax for you. He hit the post. Look at the wry grin on his face. The goal umpire, he has been invaded. And chaos reigns here at Port Melbourne. And the score, if anybody is interested, is Port Melbourne 6-7 to Coburg 4-3. And Douglas about to kick in with Cook. There he is on your screen, standing the mark in front of this huge crowd here at Port Melbourne.
And Cook has kicked 2 goals, 3 so far.
Douglas waiting until the tumult and shouting dies. The Coburg runner in close attendance. One wonders what he would say there. The only thing Douglas can do is dispose of the ball, and he wouldn't need to be reminded by that by the coach's runner. And the umpire is waiting for everybody to get back over the fence. And your Olympic Tyres scoreboard shows that Coburg is 4-3 to 6-7. Everybody, here it is, there, the milling throng in the centre of the ground. Only 4 players the other side of the centre, and Douglas still waiting patiently. And away we go again as the umpire signals for play to go on. Douglas up to the line to get it out to the grandstand side. Across there was Herbert. Wescombe dragged. A chance here for Davies, and Wescombe will get the free kick. His personal tally of free kicks, at least 4 for the day. And Wescombe comes up to the half-back flank to deliver the ball up towards centre-half forward. Smith in front, tapped away. The Port Melbourne defence combined to get it to Johnson. Johnson out, again to O'Neill. O'Neill to Dermott, and Dermott round to centre wing, and there's Evans. Evans grabs, boots to the half-forward line, looking for Wilkinson, who's been playing well. Wilkinson goes on with it, coming through as Nimmo. Nimmo to Wescombe. Wescombe in trouble, trapped, in more trouble, but gets it to Nimmo, and Nimmo boots long through the centre of the ground, up to centre-half forward. Hall slapped it away. Herbert gets it under control, or has he? Yes, and he breaks the tackle, but he's got to be quick, and Hall comes back at him. Great football on the half-forward line for Coburg. Hall tapping away, and a push in the back. We'll see the free kick to Coburg. Well, the pace, you would describe it as blistering speed as they took the ball up the ground then. and Coburg to get the free kick to come away from the boot of Fisher up to centre half forward. Smith launches himself in the air, and that's got to be a free kick to Coburg, and it'll go to Burt. Wilkinson dropped it like the proverbial hot scone when tackled, and Burt, with the assistance of the Brice, coming in from centre half forward, has a chance to score a goal for Coburg at the 7-minute mark into the second term. Most of the players think he can kick the distance because very few are dropping back, and there's Burt coming in now, and the distance is no problem, nor is the accuracy. It's another goal to Coburg.
Umpire's blown the whistle on the bound kick has been taken by Milroy of the Coburg side. The umpire calling Anderson back, and Milroy letting him know that he's been called back too. Let's check off the score service. Port Melbourne 6-7-43 and Coburg 5-3, a total of 33. Righto, there it goes up towards that right forward pocket, taken here by Fisher. Fisher shoots for goal, but the goal umpire indicates 1 point only. So that takes Coburg on to 5-4 with Port Melbourne on 6-7. Now we're just waiting on the kick-off to be taken, and the player taking it is Terry O'Neill. He plays it towards the half-back line, looking for the big fellows. No one able to take the mark. Terry Don't came in there, and the umpire said it was touch, so he's called play on. Davies came into it. There's Christou getting grabbed. We're not in possession, and the umpire allows the play to continue. And look at them scramble in for the ball as it's punched away, and eventually he's given the free kick to Cleary for a push in the back. He was quite right there, Ted.
No doubt about that.
He's let a few go.
Oh, he's a bit difficult to follow, but no doubt he was right then, Phil.
There's Robert Smith coming out, fails to take the mark, and a pick up by Herbert. Herbert gets it along the ground, and this is a chance now for Port Melbourne to defend by Terry O'Neill. He gets it towards the half-back line. Players race in after the ball. There's Tolley trying to trap it, but it's gone over the line for the throw-in. Coming up to the 10-minute mark, and there we have the scores. We're just waiting now, and it comes back into play. And the chance for little Ebeyer to grab possession. He sends it towards the half-forward line, but Milroy waits past towards Saltmarsh. The ball. Saltmarsh can't get away with the ball. And we have the free kick being taken by Jim Christou. Christou out towards Wilkinson, and Wilkinson stretches the arms out to take... Oh, he's about to go off. And there we see Davies. But he's gone for the kick up towards that centre half-forward zone. Bounces back towards the players, and grabbing it nicely is Dermott. Dermott needs a kick, and he gets it in now. And out they come for it. Allender moves in, and Allender, apart from taking the mark, gets pulled around the neck. Now we have the score coming through from Preston and Paran. Preston leading 7-4. Paran in difficulty, a lot of difficulty. They're 3-2-20. There we have the Frankston score. Caulfield 5-4, leading Frankston 4-2 as the ball went on its way, and 1 point only is the result here. Camberwell with Dandenong leading. Camberwell 6-4, Dandenong 6-4, Camberwell 3-5. This is an important one. Geelong West 8-2-50. They're knocking Sandringham's chances 4-4-28. So we wait the kick-off, and this is to be taken by the full-back Douglas of Coburg. Douglas comes out, plays it towards the half-back line. Up they go for it. And it was Beattie who rose high. He failed to take the mark, and the umpire's blown the whistle and given a free kick to Beattie. Well, we're all shaking our heads up here. Rob, it's yours.
Yes, Port Melbourne leading by 10 points at this stage. That's just 2 kicks. There's the kick down to the... it's Smith a long way out from goal. Ball moving in towards the centre now. And picking it up is O'Neill. He handballs across to his captain, Gary Brice, who decides to thump the ball across to Evans. But the umpire is... Oh, it's on out there in the centre of the ground. Players moving in there. Gary Brice, the umpire's in the centre of it. And I've got a feeling they're not talking about the weather. Whether or not to hit each other, it could be the subject, but... the umpire, and they want to carry on with it too, Phil.
Yes, Annanson came up there, and the umpires, the boundary umpires in there. Big Vic ran up the ground and chested Beattie. And the umpires applying the 15-metre penalty. And Roy Groom, he's umpired well up until about the last 10 minutes. And once an umpire starts to get a bit whistle-happy and then lets the play go on with a lot of free kicks involved in that area and picking one out of it, I think the umpire's looking for a bit of trouble, Ted.
Well, he is looking for trouble, Phil. He's got a difficult game to handle here today. Some of his decisions I haven't agreed with, but I think Roy Groom will still control this match well. Yes,
right, there's the kick down to the full forward position. Players going up. Smith is there. Ball down on the ground. Players coming in, defending desperately now. Here it comes out. Players knocking the ball along in front of them. It's Christou who picks the ball up. He'll clear for Port Melbourne. Out to the
flank side on the grandstand side of the ground. Players moving in, trying to get possession. Evans it is who picks it up, gets it across to Halbert. There's the kick by Halbert into the forward flank position. He's found Herbert all by himself, and Herbert will go back and take the kick. He's kicked 2 goals already, and this is a very acute angle, but he's only about 35 metres out. And for a little bloke who's kicked a lot of goals this year, he shouldn't have a deal of difficulty if he can read this breeze. There's the kick by Herbert, a very deliberate kick, but the umpire moves across and says 1 behind. Well, I think at this stage, Ted, Gary Brice will be very pleased when that 100 goals by Fred Cook is up.
Yes, I think you can see the tenseness in the Port Melbourne side, and I know Fred Cook would be very tense at this stage, particularly after that probably bad luck from hitting the post when it could have been his 100th.
Port Melbourne, 6 goals, 8-44. Coburg, 5 goals, 5-35. And the ball is in the half-forward flank position now, and defending is picked up by Burt there. Don't, who gets it into the forward pocket and getting up very high as Smith. Players going in hard, defending desperately now. Here's Goss getting the ball, but he's grabbed immediately. Handballs across to his teammate. Davies going past, wearing the cap. There it is on the wing position, out of bounds, and the throw-in will be effected. The big men over there, Milroy, opposed to Vic Anderson. There's the throw-in. Players struggling to get that front position. Ball down now. Anderson goes in, thumps it out, trying to... well, it's a game of basketball at this stage, but coming through is Halbert. He weaves one way. Herbert it is. Kicks it back to the umpires found a kick, though, after Herbert got rid of the ball. And he'll pay the kick down the ground, having a word to Captain Gary Brice. And the kick will be taken further down the ground. Well, running back. Looks like Fisher. There it is, the kick by Fisher across to the centre half forward position, coming out of Smith, going up high. The ball is thumped away from him, though. Now it's Ebeyer who grabs the ball. He kicks the ball out onto the, or back towards the centre position. Players going up, thumped down. Now it's Hartigan who comes out. He doesn't do anything with it. But Ebeyer again gets possession of the ball up to the centre half forward position. Players going up. Allender trying to get it. Coming up now is Douglas. He misses the ball, and Freddie Cook is all by himself. He gets it across to Allender. Allender now handballs across to a teammate, and a lot of mistakes here. A lot of pressure and a lot of mistakes, Ted.
A lot of mistakes by Port Melbourne, but good play by Coburg for keeping their head then.
There's the second division score. Brunswick leading Yarraville well, 62-28. And back here, the game goes on. It comes down towards Wescombe. Wescombe streaking right downfield. He's running a mile, but gets the kick in this time, and it'll go through for a goal to Coburg. Moving across towards the centre, there's been a little bit of a dust-up while we took that break. Beattie was in there, and Anderson came in. We're having... not only a physical tussle, but a psychological one out there today. And I don't know who's winning in brain power at the moment.
Testing each other out for the finals, I think, Phil.
There's a big test on too. But we have it back in the centre, and the scores are reading on the Olympic Tyre scoreboard. Port Melbourne 6-8-44, just leading Coburg 6-5-41, and they've been playing 16.5 minutes into this, the third quarter. And the free kick has been, or the second quarter, the free kick has been taken by Vic Anderson. So Anderson now shoots it up towards Allender. Allender trying to edge into it, but taking the mark there was Nimmo in front of Allender. There's a push in the back to Allender, and the umpire is giving a 15-metre penalty. Now, I can't follow this, Ted.
No doubt about that. He should have taken the ball away from Nimmo then and paid it to Allender.
Well, that was a terrible decision as it goes up towards the centre forward zone. Up they fly. Robert Smith having trouble in marking the ball. It's punched away from him on every occasion. And it comes out wide now. Cleary scouting around the pack. Davies is the player with it. Gets it around the neck, and Davies gets the free kick. Well, the umpire has difficulties, I know, but he's got a difficult game to control, but that was a blatant error on his part a moment ago. Now he's given it as a push in the back, and the free kick will be taken back here by Saltmarsh. Bill.
Port Melbourne are rattled. They're badly rattled. They've done the biscuit in common terms, and it's kicked out of trouble by Saltmarsh up to centre half forward, and the mark will be paid to Anderson. Yes, Port let themselves get sucked in, and I think it was the umpiring rather than Coburg that got them sucked in. And there's the best man on the ground in Dunk of Coburg, kicking up towards the half-forward line. And the umpire is giving a free kick to Wilkinson. Well, Wilkinson is one of Port Melbourne's better players. And he has his 8th kick from the centre wing position across to centre half forward. Milroy only wanted half of it. Wescombe's ducked into it. Now, there have been, if you've watched your set closely during the course of the afternoon, you would have seen 4 decisions like that, with the player ducking into the tackle. In this case, it's Wescombe getting his 5th free kick. Up to centre half forward it goes, and the free kick will go to Anderson once again, who's putting himself in front of the pack, knowing that he's going to get some treatment. Anderson from centre half back spears it to centre wing. Number 11 there, heading in the race for the ball is Goss, and it was Halbert, a good player for Coburg. Number 2, tapping it over the line in front of the packed grandstand area. You're watching it live on 10, and it's back into play. Anderson out towards Goss. Goss tricky, will get rid of the ball. Don't, too far for him. Nobody seems to want it at the moment until Terry Don't of Coburg is in there battling and holding the ball against him. And Christou will take the kick. Olympic Tyres scoreboard, 6-8 to 6-5, with Port Melbourne ahead by that margin of 3 points. Christou into the breeze. It's dropped very short. Saltmarsh makes his first mistake. Nimmo, and Saltmarsh comes back again. Milroy taps when he might have collected it. Taken out of the pack by Swan. Port Melbourne surging into attack towards Ebeyer. Hasn't got the strip to withstand the bump. Out it comes from Hartigan to Pitt. Pitt might have got the free kick, got it to Wescombe. Wescombe across to Don't, and away go Coburg. Dont's hand pass is futile to be gathered in.
Frustration.
You can see what I mean by Port Melbourne's errors. The bench are coming into it too. You're a goose, he said. And he can watch the replay too. And Port Melbourne, at the risk of them saying critical things about my commentary, are squandering opportunities. The scoreboard is 6-8 to 6-5, with Port Melbourne leading, and we've hit the 20-minute mark into the quarter. There's Terry Don't, and he kicks towards centre half forward, over towards the centre half forward spot, and Anderson took the mark, but the free kick is going to go to Dermot. Kicking the ball out of trouble, over towards centre wing. O'Reilly will mark.
He's needed the fire at that centre half forward position.
Right, and O'Reilly comes in from the half-back line. He gets it wide out here towards Christou, and Christou right in front of the Port stand. Christou now looking for the lead. He's gone for the short pass out in towards the pocket, and it's Evans who takes the pass. He shoots for goal, and what's he done with it? Put it through for 1 point only. Now the umpire, the goal umpire's ready to wave the flag, and he has. I thought there might have been a free kick. Ted, you were saying something about a free?
Yeah, there should have been a free kick there, and Evans was complaining that he should have received the free kick by the umpire, but nothing was paid.
Allender pushes it wide now, comes out towards Wilkinson. Wilkinson gets grabbed high, and he gets the free. On the right half forward flank, kicking towards the northern end of the ground. They're like a dog at a bone there. Have a look at that. Allender gets up and says, how'd you like that? Nimmo didn't like it at all.
And Fisher is off, and Hallsall is on for Coburg, Phil.
Well, look, Ted, you can see the tension there. Both players niggling one another. As we have Wilkinson now. They're still niggling, going down the field here. The umpire has a very difficult game to control. And Wilkinson now coming in from the half-forward line. Wobbles it up towards Anderson, who tried to take 2 bites, and the umpire has paid it. Well, we're still looking for our Gillette mark of the day, and we haven't seen the spectacular one as yet. But the umpire was quick to pay that one. Umpire Roy Groom. Now it's his first shot for goal, the big fellow. Goes for the drop punt, left foots it in. He swung it offline and put it through for the 1 point only, which takes Port Melbourne to 6 goals 10, leading Coburg 6 goals 5. 5 points the difference. Rob.
Yes, I think Allender could do well by forgetting about the fisticuffs with his opponent there and concentrate. Well, he wasn't using fisticuffs, Phil, no, but he should concentrate more on football because he's only had 1 kick up to this stage. There it is on the centre of the ground now. It's Gary Brice, the captain of Port Melbourne. He has a little bit of a look, directs the ball down to centre half forward. Cook comes out and he's got it. No, yes, he has. I thought he was going to run under the ball there for a moment, and Cook now has the chance to make history, Phil.
Yes, Cook only about 25, 30 yards out from goal on a 45-degree angle. So Fred Cook, the kid's getting ready to come onto the ground. The police are down there lifting a couple of them back. Fred Cook looking for his 100th. Rob Asprey spoke to Fred before the game about his 100 goals, and you'll hear him if he gets this through. Kids are already on the ground at the half-forward line. Cook moves in, guides it on its way. The goal umpire watches it closely, and what is it? 1 point only. So Cook having a lot of difficulty in getting that century on the board, Rob.
I've never seen so many anticlimaxes in all my life, Phil. Great television here, a great game between two great rivals, Coburg and Port Melbourne. And it's 6 goals, 11-47, Port Melbourne. Coburg, 6 goals, 5-41. So there's just 1 goal of difference. It's Douglas now kicking the ball down towards the centre position. Players going up high, and disputed mark there, but it's the man in front who'll take the kick as Pitt. There's the kick now by Pitt down to the half-forward flank position. Players going up. It's coming down now. Burt it is. He comes around onto his left foot, kicks it in towards the half-forward flank position, coming out. Oh, a big thump there. Across into the centre half-forward now. Still in the scoring zone for Coburg if they're good enough, but they're not on this occasion as Christou comes through. Jim Christou kicks the ball right out into the in front of the grandstand, into the crowd, over the line and out of bounds. Preston, 7 goals, 46. Paran, 6-4, 40. They're coming back, just 6 points down. Frankston, 9 goals, 58. Caulfield, 5 goals, 35. Camberwell, 5 goals, 37. Trailing Dandenong, 7-5, 47. And Sandringham, 6 goals, 42. Geelong West, 8 goals, 51. On the half-forward flank position, Anderson it is, who handballs across to Ebeyer all by himself, but he can't get the bounce of the ball. And the umpire says an infringement. Holding the ball, and Ebeyer will take the kick, Phil. Well, Ebeyer now has the chance. Freddie Cook leading out, decides to go back. Of course, Fred Cook has 1 goal to go to get that magic ton. Now Ebeyer coming in, kicks the ball up high. Freddie Cook is there. Players coming across. Cook gets his hands up, but he can't hold the ball. Down on the ground, and the umpire has found a free, and it'll go to Milroy. Milroy in the back pocket position for Coburg.
And comes out now to play it onto the half-back line. There's Terry Don't going in for it. Pitt is also in there. Pitt scooped wide, but Evans comes in. Evans comes down the flank, tries to get the ball away. Wilkinson is the player with it. He hand passes straight back into the hands of Pitt. Pitt goes for the kick, and he's put it out on the full. So the free kick will be taken by Johnson down here of Port Melbourne. What a game. Port Melbourne, 6-11, leading Coburg way 1 goal, 6 goals, 5 on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Johnson gets the kick in, deep into the pocket, up goes Annanson, tried to take 2 bites, comes out here to Little Gossett, tried to get through, he gets it around the neck, tries to play on, but the umpire's calling the ball back now. He wagged his finger at Vic Annanson. Now he's given an around the neck decision, but he's given it the other way, and this time he's given it to Nimmo. Ted?
Yes, well, I thought the free kick might have gone to Paul Goss, really.
All right, it goes downfield, and there's Allender moving across field, fails to take the mark. He's not having a good day at all, and the pressure might have got to him. And the umpire's still right back here blowing the whistle, and they've got to bring the ball back. They had gone on. I'll tell you what, Roy Groom will need 1 or 2 tonight of the amber, I reckon, Ted.
Well, I'd say to what, Phil, he'll remember this game for a long time.
I don't know whether he does, but by gee, he's had a tough game here to control today. Bill Jacobs.
Well, it's certainly been tough, but it's been good rugged football, and honours are still even as far as I'm concerned, although Porter squandering a lot of chances. Nimmo up towards centre wing. Allender trying to get the ball under control, gets it eventually to very close to the line. It was Swan, and he gets it up to the centre wing position where the mark is taken by Tolley of Coburg. Tolley at centre wing, in towards centre half forward. Dermot too good for Cleary and got into his back. A little bit unlucky, Dermot there. And Cleary will get the free kick at centre half forward for Coburg. It's 6-11 to 6-5 with Coburg going into attack into the time on period. Dermot being lectured.
He's Dermot as being ordered off, Bill, being reported, I would say, and ordered off the ground.
Well, he's got to be reported to be ordered, hasn't he?
That's right.
Well, I would say the report may have been, I stress may, for abusive language.
I would say that would have to be the situation because Dermot was complaining about the decision.
This is interesting because in the game against Coburg last time, there was a Port player ordered off.
Well, Cleary's kick doesn't quite make the distance. And I could have sworn that O'Neill threw the ball through. There's a point in any case. There's Dermot on your screen now, looking quite disgusted and disenchanted about the whole thing, and trying to calm him down, one of the Port Melbourne trainers. Anyhow, it's O'Neill putting it back into play with the score 6-12 to 6-6, 6-11 to 6-6 in Port Melbourne's favour. And over there, the big fellow Anderson, there he is, taking the mark, coming up towards the half-time interval. We've played 27.5 minutes, and that looks very much like a Port Melbourne mark, but the umpire is going to bounce it. And there's thrills and spills galore down here at the Port Melbourne ground. There's your Olympic tyre scoreboard. Port 6-11 to 6-6. Out of the pack, over towards the line with Goss in hot pursuit, obtaining the ball, and from about the centre wing position, kicks further upfield, and Nimmo will take the mark for Coburg, one of their better players. Nimmo to Saltmarsh is good football, and Coburg go away from defence into attack towards centre half forward. What a pack there is there, coming down towards Swan, a good player for Port Melbourne, roaming the packs and scouting the packs and doing it well then, kicking into the centre of the ground, again at Saltmarsh, but it was a bad bounce for him. Hartigan came in for his piece to slap it further afield, and Port Melbourne get a free kick through Christou. At centre wing, Port Melbourne attacking to the right of your screen and leading by 5 points well into the time-on period of the second quarter.
Right, Nego's kick up towards the forward zone, and it's Grant O'Reilly coming out to take the mark wide of centre half forward. O'Reilly's playing it on, looking for Cook. Cook giving his opponent a bit of a shove. He can't get in there, and it's Douglas who gains possession. He plays it across goal to Tully, and Tully will clear. Now Tully with one bounce, 2-3. Coming downfield, will prop now and get the lead from the centre, but he's put it to a pack of players down on the half-forward line, and it was Hall who's gone across to take the mark. Gee, it was nearly on then, the look on Hall. Well, Port Melbourne in their last game against Coburg had Evans ordered off, and now it was Dermot ordered off at the 27-minute mark, so he's been off 3 minutes so far. Grant O'Reilly couldn't take the mark. It came out towards Anderson. Anderson gets the big pass in. It bounces back away from the Coburg players. There's Wilkinson going down on the ground, and the umpire comes in, and he's elected to ball it up. What a pressure game.
More serious about that being ordered off for Dermot, but if he does get suspended, it's on it down here again, Phil. It's on down the ground.
Yes, who's that down on the ground there? We have getting up is Johnson, and Halbert was underneath. So the umpire running right downfield, as you were saying, Ted.
Yes, Phil, it's a matter of what happens at the tribunal. If Dermot is happened to be suspended, found guilty and suspended, that means that he wouldn't be available for at least one of the final games. So that's probably more serious than being ordered off today.
Yes, it's a big loss to Port Melbourne. They're playing at the moment with 15 men in their side as against 16. And we remember last time, that was the thing that spurred Port Melbourne on, and they got right on top of Coburg, but I don't think that'll happen today. With the 31.5-minute mark being bounced at centre half forward for Port Melbourne. Anderson in there with Milroy. Anderson palms it out beautifully, gets it down to Christou. Christou runs into goal, it's on its way offline again. And 1 point the result, so that takes Port 6 points up. They're 6-12 to Coburg, 6-6. Waiting the kick-off, and coming out here is Wescombe. Wescombe hit the ground before he marked it, but Wescombe gets the hand pass in, and coming through here is the player Herbert. Herbert now towards the centre of the ground. Players get in under the ball. It hits them on the head down there, but it goes wide, and this is the opportunity for Burt, who gets the hand pass back to Hartigan. Hartigan downfield towards centre half forward, and there's Cleary coming in.
Away, streaking away to the forward pocket. Play on was the call, and it may well have been holding the ball against Cleary, and the ball is scurried, if such is the word, over the line and out of bounds in the right forward pocket for Coburg. It's hectic, and they've got the 32.5 minutes in this term. Back into play, and they wrestle there, as you see. Beattie, who's been the subject of some attention, Christou picked it up, couldn't get rid of it, and the umpire is forced to bounce the ball in the forward pocket for Coburg, attacking to the Williamstown Road end. 6-6 to 6-12 with Port Melbourne leading. Port squandering opportunities, 18 scoring shots to 12, gives you some indication of the flow of the play to some extent. Beattie in the ruck, but it went to Brice, who has been much quieter this quarter than the first. Quiet Brice now, getting it away and coming up to Christou. Christou coming up towards half-back and kicks to the centre wing position. O'Reilly's got the set. Down to the ground again, a chance for Coburg to defend with 2-1, and the free kick is going to Port.
Yes, and Port will get it out on the wing in front of the main stand. So O'Reilly, and there's a 15-metre penalty. So Riley comes 15 metres up the ground. It's 42 plays 48 in Port's favour. There's Cook in the middle of the pack. Coming in was Douglas, picked up by Ebeyer. Ebeyer couldn't break away with the ball. He's under the pack and the umpire comes in and he'll ball it up. Well, we've been playing 33.5 minutes in this quarter. We've had a delay in the quarter because of blues. And it's only 15 metres out from the Port goal. There's Vic Annanson standing his ground, grabs the ball. He tries to get a kick in, can't get it down to his boot. And they'll come over the top of it again. Ebeyer, he slid right underneath them there like a ferret. Looks as though the ferret was let out for a run then as Ebeyer came through under the legs of players and came out on the other side. OK, there goes the bounce once again. Annanson taps it wide. He's hoping Christou can grab the ball. He has. He's grabbed Christou, but the umpire called play on. Over the top again, and umpire Roy Groom will be forced to ball it up. There's the Preston Paran score, and Paran coming back. Preston 9-4, Paran 8 goals 6 as the siren goes for half-time here. And we have scores coming up from other matches. And in this game we have Port Melbourne 6 goals 12, 1 goal up on Coburg, 6 goals 6. Bill Jacobs for a summary on the game to half-time. Bill?
Well, if it was a boxing match, and it resembled that at times, you would say that Port Melbourne are ahead on points, and no doubt they are. Colin Kinnear, in the likely event of these two teams meeting in a grand final, Colin Kinnear would have to have a long, hard look at a couple of players who haven't stood up to pressure.
Right, and Rob Asprey is ready for us, so it's down to Rob Asprey.
Gary Brice is with us now. Gary, you weren't happy with the boys at quarter time. Were you more pleased then?
A little bit better. Don't ask me about the umpiring, will you?
Right, well, you don't have to comment about that because it's already been made. Gary, good on you. Righto, well, you can see Gary Brice is not happy with the umpire at all. In fact, we're standing here with the umpire moving in now, and there's boos galore, as you can hear. Well, that's it. Gary Brice, more pleased with that quarter. And as I said before, he gave the boys a big lashing at quarter time. Back to you, Phil.
Right, and Bill, continue with the summary then.
Well, I'll continue. I finished on the note that Colin Kinnear would have to take a long, hard look at a couple of his players who haven't stood up to the pressure. I'll repeat that. I'll ignore what Gary Brice said about the umpires because I think what inconsistency there has been in the umpiring has been equally distributed between or over the two teams. I think to this stage of the journey, Port Melbourne have played the better football and deserved their lead, although Coburg are pressing them very closely.
Ted Henrich.
Well, Phil, I think today has proved one thing to me so far, is that both these teams have the best back lines in the VFA. Both teams have defended very well right up until half-time, and Port Melbourne surprised me that quarter. It hasn't been that strong all year, but it certainly withheld those attacks from Coburg, and Coburg had only managed 3 goals 3, which is the amount that they kicked in the first quarter, kicking against the Brice. Phil, this is building up to a tremendous finish, this game. No one could forecast what the result will be, but one thing is for sure, Coburg's smaller men, if Coburg are going to win the game, they're the players that will do it for them.
I think where the problem was with Port Melbourne was their inaccuracy in front of goal. They had 8 shots to Coburg 6, and Coburg kicked 3-3, and Port Melbourne 1 goal 7. So that gives an indication of the inaccuracy that they had, and one of the players paying the penalty was Fred Cook with the pressure of trying to kick his 100th goal. Incidentally, we've had Dermot off the ground for 7.5 minutes, so he has another 7.5 minutes to go to stay off the ground when play resumes after this half-time interval. And last time it happened was against the Coburg side when Evans was sent off the ground by the umpire. But a vital stage of the game, and we still have Port Melbourne leading by 1 goal. Statistics, Ian.
Port Melbourne kick getters, Wilkinson 9 kicks, Jim Christou a great quarter, 13 kicks, 10 coming from that quarter. Annanson 7, Swan 11 kicks. Coburg kick getters, Saltmarsh strong in defence with 9. Terry Dones played well with 6 kicks and 5 hand passes. Brad Nimmo 9 kicks. Goal kickers for Port Melbourne, 2 each to Cook and Brice and 1 each to Jim Christou and Ebeyer. And for Coburg, 2 to Herbert and 1 each to Halbert, Fisher, Burt and Wescombe.
You're speaking up well today, Ian. We have Port Melbourne 6-12-48, leading Coburg 6-6, a total of 42. And Bill Barrett, what's been happening over Street Forest Hills, won the magnificent Billy Guyatt Prize. Mrs. E.B. Keith of Rampart Avenue, Glen Waverley, won the Gillette products. And Mr. J.A. Delaney of Brown Street, South Oakley, won the Coolibah Prize. And they all receive a free pass to John Driver Sports Centre for the day. So they're all great prizes indeed. And this week's prize from Billy Guyatt is a Sunbeam crepe maker with controlled heat. It's called a creperi. Anyway, and pick the points. The 60 winners for the season now are all eligible for next week's big final, and you'll receive notification in the mail through the week. And then you're going for this magnificent Commodore Holden from Bayside Holden, and you can get in touch with them on 784400, 784400. We have Coburg coming out onto the ground, just repeating the half-time scores, 6-12 to 6-6 in Port's favour.
It was dope pushing that caused B. Smith to lose her daughter, and it's dope pushing that could force her to commit murder for the third time. Next on Prisoner.
And we're just waiting on the ground to be cleared, and while doing that, Bill Barrett is over there in the second division, semi-final between Brunswick and Yarraville. What's happening there at the moment, Bill?
Well,
now Port starting off with 15 men aside. Now we heard Gary Brice criticise or say something about the umpire. What's the free kick situation in the match so far, Ian?
Free kicks are very interesting. Port Melbourne 23, Coburg 43.
Whoa. Well, there we are. That's without comment. 43 to 23 in Coburg's favour on free kicks. Anyway, you can always talk about those things, Bill and Ted, because one side might be infringing anyway, constantly.
Well, that's right. There's no doubt about it that you can't get more free kicks, particularly 20 more than the other side, unless you've been infringing more, Phil. But I must say that some of the decisions given by umpire Groom have been a bit doubtful. What do you think, Bill?
I think that some of the decisions have been a bit doubtful. I think that umpire Groom, by and large, has played the man in front.
All right. Comments from Bill Jacobs, Ted Henrys, and we're ready to get underway for the second half. Listen to the crowd. There we go. And it's Anderson getting the knockout from the ruck, but it comes across towards Terry Don't. He gets it up towards centre half forward. There's Smith tapping it down to Wescombe. Wescombe turned right back into Ward Smith. Smith now shoots for goal. His first shot for the day, and he's put it through for 1 point. Actually second, because before he put it across the face of goals at this northern end of the ground. So that takes now Coburg on to 6-7-43 within 5 points of Port Melbourne, 6-12-48. And there's the kick. Going towards the half-back line. Goes through towards the player in Halbert. He couldn't get away. A pick-up by Wilkinson. The kick is smothered. Halbert comes through, bangs it up towards the forward zone. Brice traps it again, and Brice will get it away nicely towards the half-back line. Getting close to the line. Halbert traps it. 3 Port players go in there. Nobody knew who had it. Swan ended up with it, lost possession, and the umpire will come in for a ball out. Tell you what, Port Melbourne breathed a sigh of relief. They got 6.5 minutes before the 16th player is allowed back on the ground. And it's a bounce again from umpire Roy Groom. And taking it as Anderson puts it over his head a bit far. It went towards Evans, who couldn't get away. Tapped out nicely then by Hall. Got it to Goss. Goss in turn up towards the wing. Tapped out here. And racing for home now is Allender. Allender with a bad kick puts it right offline. And it goes through for 1 point only. And that was only Allender's second kick for the match. So that puts Port now exactly 1 goal ahead again. They're 6-13 to Coburg 6-7. Waiting on the kick-off to be taken. And it's Douglas playing it towards the big fellow. But Evans comes in to take the mark. The big fellow I was referring to, of course, is Gary Milroy. But Evans was the player to come in and take the mark for Port Melbourne. So Evans a long way out from goal on the half-forward line. Gets his kick in. It's not a bad roost. It's a beautiful kick. Gets the distance and gets the direction. A goal to Port. Port Melbourne 2 goals up. The umpire calling play on the bounce. A stack of players around. Coming out of it is Swan. Swan puts it straight back towards Peter Hall. Hall up towards the half-forward line. In the back. Red hot. And it'll be Saltmarsh to take the free kick. Saltmarsh, number 16, the former Preston player from centre half back now. And sees the lead out here.
And one of the better players today, Phil.
He's been playing consistent football for Coburg from what we've seen. And coming in here now is Wescombe. Wescombe now sends it towards Smith, and Smith leading out well. Takes his first mark for the day. He needs 8 to get his 100, and I think that'll be beyond him today. I think his 100th will come up in the finals. He's kicked 1 point. He's had 2 shots for goal, and both of them not easy shots. This is the easiest shot he has for the day. 35 metres out from goal, directly in front. So Smith from this position, going for his 93rd goal for the season. Puts it on its way, and it'll be right through the middle. No doubt about that one. Smith's 93rd.
As it comes out the centre, or out of the centre, Davies, not a good kick by any stretch of imagination. Johnson trying to thump away, hasn't done a lot, come to think about it. Down to the ground and the umpire will bounce. The umpire to bounce on Port Melbourne's half-back line or Coburg's half-forward line. And at half-time we see that Preston are leading Paran by a matter of 20 points. There's a pretty good bounce. And Port will get it away. Frankston still holding the ascendancy over Caulfield. And on the ground there was Hartigan. Camberwell doing it well against Dandenong. 4-point advantage to Camberwell. Sandringham and Geelong West a good one with only 8 points the difference. And Port going into attack beautifully here through Swan, who snapped very quickly for goal. But it's out of bounds as he put it through truly.
Well,
this is very interesting. The boundary umpire will have his, who will hold sway. The boundary umpire will hold sway.
It'll be nullified, that score, for sure.
It amazed me that he didn't chase the field umpire, but it's out of bounds and the score will be cancelled if it was ever registered. And that's where the ball will be thrown in, and there's the sign to nullify the score. And back into play it comes. That's Milroy in the front berth. The leaper was Ananson, and there's a free kick to come out of all of that, or it will go back to the boundary umpire to have it thrown in again. The field umpire quite obviously not satisfied about that throw back into play, is the way I read it. And it's 5 minutes into the third term of this hectic game, and Allender got it down. Wescombe, a busy bee, has ridden into the ground, and Wescombe of Coburg, who's had umpteen free kicks today, I would suggest about 6. And his 8th kick, and he guts it across to Terry Don't. Don't, reading the play beautifully, has delivered the ball across to Douglas, who marks comfortably, and away he goes. Centre wing position, but it's going to be chopped off by Gary Brice of Port Melbourne, the captain and coach, who drops a short one in and put his teammate in trouble there. And out there is Cook, but he flipped it back to Brice, and Brice kicks to the half-forward line. Allender!
A beauty!
Been waiting a long while for that. Allender got up beautifully.
And that could be the Gillette mark of the day to Allender.
Allender playing on quickly across towards centre half forward. Coburg are going to get out of trouble with Cleary wandering around up on the back line and getting it across here in the direction of centre wing for Curran, and delivering the ball up towards Smith, well out from goal, slapping it away to Beattie. Beattie will give it back to Smith. He's in trouble. Tackled. Play on was the call. Beattie out in the direction of Hallsall. Hallsall did well. He'll have to kick with the left foot and does. But it's over the line. That's the sign. There's a sure sign of the agitation on the part of the spectators. It's 7-13 to 7-7. Port still holding on to that 6-point advantage which they established in the second quarter.
Bill, we should see Dermot coming on within the minute. He's out there. There he is, about to take his dressing gown off, and he'll be happy to come back on.
There's a quick snapshot for goal. And it's a goal to Halbert. And a goal to Coburg to equalise. There it is in the centre. The scores are level. They've been playing 2 quarters and 7 minutes, and they're still locked together as Ebeyer gets it out of the centre towards the grandstand side of the ground, going up towards Port's half-forward line. Allender handled it out there to O'Reilly. It's come out the pack to Douglas, to Nimmo. Nimmo was trapped, but it'll allow Hartigan to come in and defend for Coburg. He does it well, and the tackle was too high as he slipped to the ground. Hartigan gets it to Cleary, and Cleary races to centre wing to give it to Burt. Burt from that position will boot the ball up towards Smith at centre half forward. Only half a grab, not enough to be paid the mark. Players everywhere. Wescombe literally crawling to Beattie into the pocket, and it might be a goal to Coburg. It was Hallsall who snapped, and he's going to get the free kick. Quite obviously it was a point, as the umpire in that case. There we see Dermot preparing to come back on the ground after having been ordered off and obviously reported, otherwise he wouldn't have been ordered off. And here's the free kick to be taken by Coburg and be taken by Hallsall. Now his position is about 25 metres out from goal. The umpire is just bringing him around. You saw him move around at probably a 50-degree angle, and from there he will kick towards goal, the river end of the ground, and it looks good, and the goal umpire agrees it's a goal to Coburg.
It only
Right back here, ground. Dermott is on the ground, and we have Coburg leading by a goal now. The 9-7 to 7-13. Evans goes for the shot, the goal, and he's equalised the score. That was great play from Great O'Reilly to get it to Evans, and Evans acknowledged it as he came back and gave him a tap on the spot. OK, Port Melbourne 8-13, 61, and Coburg 9-7, also a total of 61, and what a great game. Again, we say that, down here at the Borough. 10.5 minutes into play in the third quarter as we await the ball to be returned.
I've never seen as much pressure, and when I say never, not this year anyway, I've seen as much pressure in the game.
Bill Barrett, a quick score from over there at Toorak Park. Right, Bill, tap out. It comes down towards home, plays it wide of the centre of the ground. Cleary waiting for the ball to come down to him, but it comes back here towards Jimmy Christou. Christou downfield. There's Allender gaining possession. He swings around, left foots it up towards the forward zone. Fred Cook coming in from behind, takes 2 bites but couldn't get it. It goes wide out towards the back pocket. Evans is the player pursuing the ball. Evans turns around, tried to drag himself free from players who are tackling. Goss passes it. It comes back here towards the little fella Ebeyer. Ebeyer gets flattened. And he gets the free. Had to happen. He's kicked 1 goal so far. I reckon if he took a swing at a player, he'd hit him in the kneecap as Ebeyer gets ready now to move in towards goal. This could put Port up in front. It's on its way. It's right through the middle. A goal to Port. They're 1 goal up.
It's and the margin is just goal. Port Melbourne 9-13-67, Coburg 9-7-61. There's the bounce back in the centre of the ground. It's Annenson who gets the ball out. Players moving in, trying to get the ball as don't. He handballs over his head to Halbert. Halbert goes to handball one way, decides to get his kick into the centre-half forward position, into the scoring zone, giving Dermott the chance for Port Melbourne, but he's brought to the ground, pushed in the back, and the umpire will give him the kick. Port Melbourne defending. There's his kick now across to the centre of the ground where he gets a lead, and it's Hall almost into the centre-half back, centre of the ground. There's his big kick now down to the scoring zone for Port Melbourne. Going up high is Allender. He thumps the ball over the back, gives the chance to Ebeyer. Ebeyer can't get the run of the ball. Now he has. There's his kick off the side of his foot. Picked up by Coburg. They're defending desperately now. Kicks it up, and it's Allender playing much better now. Allender concentrating on his game, and he's certainly improved, and they'll need Allender in form. 4 kicks so far this quarter. There's his kick now, going towards the big sticks. Umpire moves across, and he puts up 2 fingers, and it's a goal to Port Melbourne and Allender. There's 2 goals in favour of Port Melbourne, 10-13-73 to Coburg, 9-7-61 from the centre of the ground. Coming out is Herbert with the ball. He's going to be caught, though, and the umpire, Clown, says no. Now he's given a kick. A little bit belated there, though. Herbert has a bit of a smack and then decides to play on up to centre-half forward. Going out as Smith. He should have taken that mark. Play on, says the umpire. The big man, Annenson, picks it up. Down to the scoring zone for Port Melbourne. Players going in hard now. Coming out as Don't. He can't get possession. Oh! Well, he certainly stopped him. And Ted just said to me it wasn't as bad as that, but I wonder if... I
was only repeating what Bill said, Rob.
Just wondering whether Terry Don't, what he'd have to say about that. You should be like the fellow who goes on a diet, Ted, and keep your mouth shut.
Bill made the comment the side of my head. It didn't look as bad as that he made out to be, and I did think the same thing, but obviously he got a pretty swift hit across the face then.
Rob, you have heard commentaries before, but have you ever heard the word passing the buck?
Yes, many times, Phil. And have a look at that eye. Oh, yes. Yes, there's no doubt about that. He's certainly receiving some attention there after receiving some attention earlier. So it's Port Melbourne 10-13-73, Coburg 9-7-61. And he is going straight off, so he must have been very hurt. That's Terry Don't. Well, now it's Hall with the ball for Port Melbourne. He's going for the big kick, taking advantage of the breeze. Players set themselves for the mark. No one gets it. Down on the ground, coming through, trying to pick the ball up is Goss, but coming through in the front position is Herbert, and the umpire will give Herbert the kick. on the wing position at the other side of the ground, coming down now, and players Hall in front, but from Beattie, but coming through is Burt. Burt kicks the ball across, giving Smith the opportunity if he's quick enough, but it's O'Neill who takes the front berth. He decides to punch the ball, giving Halbert the chance to come in. Halbert comes in, has a little bit of a look, wheeze one way, then he goes the other, sees his teammate in there and Cleary, but eludes Cleary coming through, and it's Dermott who is back on the ground. He's content to handball over the line and out of bounds. Umpire now in the forward pocket position for Coburg. The big men do battle. It's Anderson who gets the ball over, giving the opportunity to Goss. Goss picks it up. A good play there. Kicks the ball very high into the centre of the ground. Players going up one-handed. That's not the way to play football. O'Reilly comes out. He won't muck around with it. Kicks the ball high. Gives the opportunity for Fred Cook. Fred Cook takes the front berth. The ball's knocked away from him. Coming through is Allender. He's playing good football now. Screws the ball back towards the goals. And it's 4 points to Port Melbourne. That's his second goal. And Port Melbourne are playing well at this stage. Port Melbourne 11-13, 79. Coburg 9-7, 61.
Right, just waiting now for the ball to come back into the centre, and Port Melbourne working their way on top, and the result of that is Allender playing much better here in the third quarter.
Well, he's playing far and wide, and he's not being held too closely this time as he was in the first half, Phil. That centre half in the first half, he was trying to compete in the air with the bigger players, but once he starts to move around a bit, he's a far better player.
There we have the Preston Prahran score. Prahran in a lot of trouble, but so are the other two teams who have the chance of getting into the final four. The umpire blowing the whistle here as he's awarded a free kick Coburg's way. Frankston leading Caulfield in their game. Camberwell down on Dandenong's score, 5 points down, so at this stage Dandenong are in the 4. There's a shot for goal, and it's on its way by Halbert, and he's put it through for 4 points to Coburg. Here's Evans going towards goal now after the bounce for Port Melbourne. Put it offline and put it through for 1 point. So let's check our Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Port Melbourne 11-14, 80. And we have Coburg on 10-7, a total of 67. And the kick-off being taken again by Douglas, looking for Pitt. Up goes Evans with Pitt. Neither player gets the advantage. A smack in the ear. And the free kick will be taken by Wescombe. Still niggling down there. Wescombe now gets the lead from across field, doesn't know where to go. Look at this, very undecided, and still undecided as he comes upfield, puts it straight into the hands of Anderson. Well, that was indecision in many ways by this player as it goes up towards that left forward pocket, beats the players over the line, and out of bounds, deep on the forward zone for Port Melbourne at the Williamstown Road end of the ground. Port Melbourne 11-14, 80, Coburg 10-7, 67. Coburg will be coming home with a wet sail, and that is with the wind in the final quarter. There it comes out wide, comes back towards the player Hallsall. Hallsall gets it up towards the wing, where Beattie went in for it. He couldn't take the mark, and this allows Port Melbourne to get it into attack through Johnson once again. Johnson towards centre half forward. Was that O'Reilly in the middle of the pack? Grant O'Reilly, one of the surest marks in VFA football, but the umpire's given it to Allender. Well, O'Reilly came down with the ball, but it must have come out of the hands of Allender because he's the player to come back with it. O'Reilly thought it was his too as it goes on its way, and he's put it through for another goal. And Allender's kicked 3 in this quarter. So that takes Port Melbourne on to 12-14, 86, and Coburg 10-7, 67. I said it to Ted, I'll say it to you, Bill, that Allender, they need him firing Port Melbourne, and boy, when he fires, he really gets the score on the ball.
Well, he's one of the most promising young footballers in Victoria. I stress Victoria, not only the VFA, keenly sought by others, and when he fires, as you said, Port light up, as it were, and that the advent of Dermott back onto the ground after Coburg had kicked 3 goals, coupled with Allender getting in the game, has made the world of difference.
Well, it certainly has, and I think Allender's a confidence player too, Bill. If he gets on top, he usually stays on top.
Right, at 12-14 to 10-7, Port leading on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Burt gets it out of the centre quickly, down towards Cleary. Cleary not doing all that much. Fisher was a chance there, number 25, but the free kick is going to go to Port Melbourne. It'll be taken by Christou, who's lifted considerably since a quarter time. Christou down towards the centre of the ground, and Port will take it away through Evans. Evans to Ebeyer was good handball. Ebeyer trapped. So too was the Coburg player. Holding the ball was the call. It will be now. Hartigan was caught. The first one might have been, but the second one was positive. And that's the second time that the smallest man on the ground, Ebeyer, has retarded a much stronger opponent. So now Ebeyer will kick from centre half forward. He's kicked a couple of goals. He's a good kick. It is not beyond him with the slight wind assistance. And there it goes on its way with them pushing and shoving, and he's kicked a goal. I think he has. Great goal that from Ebeyer. And takes the score along to 13-14 Port Melbourne, 92. Now they've opened up the lead on Coburg, 10-7-67. And if Coburg have got quality, they'll lift now. We know they've got it, but this is the ground to do it. At Port Melbourne, and Port are coming home strongly. They have one win against Coburg to their credit this year, and they're heading for another at the moment. There's a long way to go, but Allender got it out of the ruck. In turn, it was O'Reilly to centre half forward. Pitt will relieve for Coburg. Pitt getting it out over there to Tully on the centre wing, kicking to the half forward line. Brice a chance from behind. He smacks away down to Wescombe. In there was Christou. Up to the centre wing position. Oh, look at that. Tully on the ground, wrestling for position there. Ebeyer knocks away. Allenson puts in, several others too, and the umpire's blown the whistle on holding the ball. There's a call against Port Melbourne to go to Nimmo. Nimmo, a good player all day for Coburg, has got it up towards his team's centre half forward spot. Coming down on the ground is Fisher running into goal, and he's put it on its way, and I think he's put it through for another goal.
7-73. Now there's the kick going down to the scoring area for Port Melbourne, and grabbing it as Ebeyer. He'll do something with the ball, decides to handball to Anderson, the big man, back to Ebeyer. Ebeyer now lining up the goals, shoots it in towards Freddie Cook, and a beautiful one-handed mark to Cook. What a great mark, Phil.
Yes, a great mark by Fred Cook, and that could be one of the big marks of the day. Fred Cook lining them up to kick towards the Williamstown Road end of the ground. Kids coming from everywhere as Cook comes in for his 100th goal. He's hooked it, and he's put it through for the minor score of 1 point again. That's the third occasion he's missed today, and look at the look of despair on the face of Fred Cook.
Well, if anyone can accuse Freddie Cook of wanting to kick the goals on television, there's no doubt about it. He's certainly caused some anxiety today. He couldn't have done it better if he tried.
Well, Fred Cook.
I bet he feels like Fred Flintstone at the moment.
He looks like him. Well, what a disappointment. Some of the girls there say, what's happened to Freddie?
What about Port? They want to wrap it up.
Well, Ted, what would be the situation there? Would it be nerves? That'd have to be nerves, wouldn't it?
No doubt it's nerves coming onto his 500 in the VFA football. It'd have to be nerves, right? No, nothing else.
OK, let's check the score. Port Melbourne 13-15-93. Coburg 11-7-73. And Port Melbourne have certainly improved their lot since Allender came right into the game. There's the fullback now playing on. He kicks the ball out to the grandstand side, and taking the mark is Saltmarsh on the half-back flank position. Kicking into a very stiff breeze. I did make the point before that players were making a lot of mistakes. Well, if you stand in the centre of the ground, as I did at half-time, you'll notice that it's a very gusty wind out there, which can help players to make these mistakes. Right, there's the ball now, picked up by Burt. Burt decides to kick out to his teammate going past, but it eludes him. Coming through is Evans. Evans can't get it. It's back to Hallsall. Players going in very hard, and the umpire's found a kick, and it'll be taken by Hallsall. The little bloke for Coburg. Yarraville 11-9-75. Brunswick 15-12, 102. Brunswick leading well there in the big game. 15-metre penalty has been paid by umpire Roy Groom. And Wescombe now is certainly within scoring distance for Coburg, and they need a goal badly at the stage. He's kicked 1 goal, 1 so far. There's the kick by Wescombe. It won't get the distance. The player's going up high. Smith knocks it down, gives the opportunity for Halbert. He screws the ball back. Hallsall it is, and it's 1 point. 1 point to Hallsall and Coburg. They badly needed a goal on that occasion. Port Melbourne 13-15-93. Coburg 11-8-74. Phil Gibbs.
Right, Rob, and Rob will be giving us a report from the ground at three-quarter time. We're keeping him busy today as we have the kick-off coming this time from O'Neill. O'Neill towards the half-back line. The big fellow Anderson went up, fails to take the mark. Comes out to Wescombe. Wescombe now screws it around towards centre forward. Hall went up, couldn't take it. Here's the chance for Halbert to pick it up. He shoots for goal, and it's online. Another goal to Coburg. They're fighting back. Come in for the bounce, up they go. Beattie taps it back over his head, but little Goss comes in. He taps it back into the hands of his opposition rover in Burt. Comes back towards the half-back line for Gary Brice to try and get it. Couldn't get in there. It's nearly a ball up, but Dermot burrows his way through. Dermot up towards centre half forward. Allender flew high in the air, but coming through here is Hartigan in defence. Hartigan across towards Tully. Tully now defending well for Coburg. Plays it to the wing on the outer side of the ground, on the stand side of the ground. David Fisher gains possession. He goes for the hand pass, and here's Hallsall moving into it. Hallsall lines them up, puts it on its way, and in they go. It's a free kick. The umpires paid the free and not the mark. And it's Dermot, who since he's come back on the ground has been playing quite serviceably. He goes for the short pass this time, drops it to centre half back, and Peter Hall takes the mark. Now Hall of Port Melbourne goes for another short pass into the centre, and that's Evans who's come up. Evans has played a good game too in the last half quarter. There it goes on its way towards centre forward. Up they fly, punched away from Cook. In the race for the ball is Christou, but will beat him over the line and out of bounds. Coming up to the 28.5-minute mark. And they're coming on the ground for Port Melbourne is Kevin Curran. So the two Currans are on as it comes back into play. Annanson knocks it down into the middle of the pack. It's Hartigan getting it away. Gets it across towards Tully now from the back pocket out towards the half-back line on the stand side of the ground. Players racing after it. Johnson couldn't quite get there. Moving in is Hallsall. There they crowd around the ball, but picking it up is Curran. And Curran now will steady. Play it across towards that centre half-forward zone where we found the player Nimmo failing to gain possession. O'Reilly sends it up to Cook. Cook goes up, and he's taken a great mark. Well, let's see what happens this time. That was a good mark by Cook. He's kicked 2-5. He's had trouble. 3 direct shots for goal, and he's missed to kick his 100th. And now he has the chance to come in on an acute angle to shoot for his 100th goal. Fred Cook puts it on its way. What's the umpire say? 1 point again. So there's the frustration, Bill Jacobs, of trying to get 100.
Well, it certainly is. No batsman ever struggled harder than Cookie is for his goals today, that's for sure. And the man just about to kick the ball back into play has played exceptionally well, Douglas. Port 13-16 to 12-8 on your Olympic Tyres scoreboard as we're 4.5 minutes into the time-on period. There's Ebeyer. Ebeyer kicking towards centre half forward. They mass there. Slapped to the ground. A chance here for Port. This time through Johnston, but he is offline also. And Port are building up the behinds now. They have gone on to 13-17. That's 30 scoring shots to 20 of Coburg, which have yielded 12-8. Colin Kinnear into screen, looking perturbed. A game of fluctuating fortunes with Port probably should have had it wrapped up by now, coming up to three-quarter time. That is wrapped up to the interval, as it were. And Allenson out there, Annanson to take the mark. Annanson on the half-forward flank. The big fellow's played pretty well. He's beaten or had the better of Milroy today, I would suggest. Annanson kick towards centre half forward. Cook looking for the free kick. Play on as the call as it comes out to Herbert, and Coburg go upfield from the boot of Herbert to centre half forward, and there's another fullback doing a great job in O'Neill on Smith. He's limited him to 1 goal, and O'Neill kicks up through the centre of the ground.
Right, and it goes up towards Allender, who fails to take the mark, but there it comes to Davies. Davies towards centre half forward, and it's Grant O'Reilly to take the mark for Port Melbourne. Well, the score difference at this stage, 15 points only in Port Melbourne's favour on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard. Cook making a very early lead here, ignored by O'Reilly. He's thinking more of the team. O'Reilly was bending down, lacing up the boots then. And O'Reilly to line them up from short of centre half forward. It's his first shot for goal. Give them a 21-point lead if he can get it. It's going offline, and it'll be 1 point the result only to take Port Melbourne on to 13-18 as against Coburg's 12 goals, 8. 96 to 80, 16 points the difference. And in this quarter, Port Melbourne have kicked 7 goals, 6, and Coburg 6 goals, 3. We'll show you the progressive scores quarter by quarter at three-quarter time as it comes out towards Saltmarsh, but taking the mark is O'Reilly. A one-hander to pull it back into the other. Well, he'll go for the long shot, I'd imagine, rather than a direct shot for Cook. Cook going back into the goal square, not making the lead. Has decided that Riley's close enough to take the kick for goal, and he's put it on its way, guided it well, and he's put it through for another goal to Port Melbourne. They go to 14 goals, 18, and Coburg 12 goals, 8. Well, I don't know, Ted, Port Melbourne seem to have the wood on Coburg. It's all adding up to a great second semi-final.
Well, they appear to have the wood on them, no doubt about it. Well, they did at Coburg, and they appear to just be getting right on top now, and particularly since Don't went off the field, who was handling the ball quite a lot for Coburg, and one is probably as good a player as they had on the ground. Now, they've lost him. Coburg, I thought, did pick up a bit, but Port have come right back again now. Well, just thank goodness for Coburg, so that Port are kicking bad.
22 points the lead, and taken out of the centre by Hall. Hall up towards centre half forward. Saltmarsh backs his judgment and succeeds. Play on was a good call, and Saltmarsh boots it up towards Smith, leading up, and Smith has got in front of O'Neill for once and taken the mark. O'Neill in some pain there as Johnson. Smith has kicked 1-1, and he's chosen to kick to Burt, and I rather fancy he was looking towards Milroy when he first kicked, but Burt is a player that Coburg badly want to get into the game a lot more. He was going to kick it across field there. Burt has got to be direct, if for no other factor than the time factor. He's dropped it in short, and Halbert's dropped in to take the mark.
Bad play, Port Melbourne.
Yeah, the defence was in tatters then. Now the difference is 22 points. Halbert's kicked 4, and a goal here would be invaluable to Coburg if Halbert can kick it, and he has. It's a goal to Coburg and to Halbert, and the margin is reduced to 16 points. And Port have done everything they possibly could this quarter, and there's Kinnear pondering on the last quarter. Port Melbourne 14-18-102, Coburg 13-8-86 on the Olympic Tyres score.
Very long quarter two, Bill. We've been going 34 minutes into this quarter, so it'll be a late finish in the match from here. The interesting part is how's Paran going against Preston. We'll give you a report on that soon. And Dandenong against Camberwell, and Sandringham against the Geelong West side, because any one of those sides can get into the 4. There it goes up towards the forward zone of Port Melbourne. No one able to break away with the ball. It's kicked back upfield, and this is Fisher coming into it. Fisher now towards the half-forward line. Tapped down by Hallsall. Hallsall gets it up towards the pocket. He's getting a bit of a shove from Brice as he came close to the boundary line, and it will be thrown back into play at the 35-minute mark into this, the third quarter. So it'll be a late finish in the match tonight. And here it comes back in once again. And it comes off the hands of the pack down towards Christou. Christou streaking downfield, shoots it in towards the centre. Who can take the mark here? A Coburg mark, and the player coming in from behind was Saltmarsh. He hand passes immediately, and coming upfield is Nimmo. Nimmo now with his kick towards the half-forward line. Davies rushes into the ball, taps it away from his opponent in pit, then gets the kick in with siren about to sound any tick of the clock. It goes towards O'Reilly and Evans, but beats them over the line and out of bounds for a throw-in. 35.5-minute quarter so far, a long one. Don't forget our big Deafness Fund appeal next Saturday on Channel 10, when we have overseas stars coming in, and we'll be crossing by satellite direct to Tommy Trinder in London. There's Ebeyer gaining possession, and Ebeyer now dribbles it across the ground. Players coming up to meet the ball, and there'll be the umpire hasn't given a free kick to Tolley, who has grabbed. We're not in possession. They're over the top of it, and it will be a ball out. Yes, the sports panel will be on right through Saturday morning, and of course we have the big star attractions right throughout the day and the night. And the Nerve Deafness Fund appeal on Channel 10, which will assist Professor Graham Wright's research into nerve deafness. There goes the kick now from Halbert in towards the centre of the ground, and there was the chance then for Herbert to break away, but the siren has sounded for the end of the third quarter, and let's check the scores. Port Melbourne 14-18, 102, leading Coburg 13-8, a total of 86. Bill Jacobs, how did you see the game?
Well, from the time Dermott came back onto the field, 7.5 minutes into the third quarter, and Allender started to fire, Port Melbourne commenced to look good. Coburg kicked 3 goals whilst Dermott was off the ground, but Port then took over, and they did it well. I just wonder if Port, who have given their all in this third quarter to take the lead, will have sufficient lead to go the full journey. Coburg, to me, appeared to be gathering strength a little bit towards the concluding stages of that quarter, and I rather fancy they can get up and win it.
Well, as you can see, Coburg have been down all day. Port Melbourne leading on each change, 10.
Yes, Phil, and also, as you can see, looking at those scores there were 15 goals scored in that quarter. And that was a tremendous quarter of football, one of the best quarters I've seen this year, both sides participating in it and both sides moving the ball very quickly upfield. I fear for Coburg's chances in this match because coming up the last quarter, Port Melbourne has always been a very good contender in the final quarter in any game they've played at Port Melbourne, and they seem to be able to come home much better, even though they will be coming home against this Brice. But full marks to both sides in that quarter, Phil. I thought they both played well, and particularly Halbert of Coburg, I thought that was outstanding.
Right, and I feel that the player who had the greatest influence on the game, particularly for the first 15 to 20 minutes in that quarter, was Allender. He came back into the game, that lifted the Port Melbourne side, and of course Dermott coming back in 8 minutes into the quarter made a difference as well. Port Melbourne have got on top. Coburg are in trouble. They need Burt firing, and he hasn't so far. Ian, the statistics on the game.
Port Melbourne kick getters. Allender, the player that Port needed to fire. He's had 7 kicks, 6 in that quarter, and kicked 3 goals in that quarter. Port Melbourne kick getters. Christou had a good game with 18 kicks. Ebeyer had a good quarter, 17 kicks today, 7 coming from that quarter, and Hall's been a consistent player with 14 kicks. Coburg kick getters. Halbert, once again a good quarter, 15 kicks, 4 goals out of his 5-goal total in that quarter. Terry Don't, before he went off the ground injured, 10 kicks and 6 hand passes. Saltmarsh, 12 kicks. Port Melbourne goal kickers. Fred Cook, 2 goals, 6. Brice, 2. 3 to Ebeyer. 3 to Allender, 2 to Evans and 1 to O'Reilly, and for Coburg 5 to Halbert, 2 each to Herbert and Fisher and 1 each to Burt, Wescombe, Smith and Hallsall. Free kick still interesting. Coburg 55, Port Melbourne 28.
And to the lady who wrote in and asked, was that fellow talking then my son? Yes. Okay. That's the first time I've admitted it, Ian. on television anyway. All right, the three-quarter time scores. Port Melbourne 14-18, 102. Coburg 13-8, a total of 86. Bill Barrett, what's the position over there at Toorak Park after this break? Of Seedle and the $50 in cash, and of course not forgetting the Puma boots and the Puma bag with the international flash of brilliance. And then we have the Gillette mark of the day, and we've seen 3 beauties here so far today, and that player will receive $50 in cash and the Gillette products. Just repeating, three-quarter time scores: 14-18 Port Melbourne to Coburg's 13 goals 8, and it's warming up for a fantastic final quarter.
Are you one of the clever people who own a freezer?
Well, before we sign off today, we'll be able to give you, I would imagine, the result of all matches being played today. And as I said earlier, the vital part about it all, that was Ted Henry's behind us then, but the vital part about it all is the Preston-Paran game, and Preston are right on top of Paran. There's the scores coming through. Well, have a look at that. Paran obviously look as though they're going to lose. They're 39 points down. Now, it means either the Dandenong side have to win to get into the Final Four, or we have to get Sandringham in. That game doesn't mean anything as far as the Final Four is concerned, but this one does. And it's only 3 points the difference between Dandenong and Camberwell. So Dandenong are in the 4 on those scores at the moment. How will they be in another 25 or 30 minutes' time? Let's have a look at Sandringham. Sandringham are within striking distance of Geelong West. So Sandringham are only 15 points down. The wind would be blowing straight down the ground, so maybe Sandringham have the wind in the final quarter. So, taken all in all, it's an exciting finish coming up, not only to this game, but to the other games. Now, Bill Barrett is over at the Toorak Park ground. Just another quick score on the big game there in the second division second semi-final between Brunswick and Yarraville. Bill?
Yarraville 13-9, 87. Brunswick 16-12, 108. And Yarraville coming back hard.
Righto, Bill, and you can see them battling in hard there. Rain is starting to fall here as we take you down to Rob Asprey.
Well, Colin Kinnear told his Coburg players one thing will win this game, and that's a real disciplined effort. He emphasised no crowding on the forward line, play on at every chance, and he threw out a real challenge to his players. As for Gary Brice, well, he told them that more concentration is needed on winning the game and not kicking a 100th goal. In fact, he told players who were signing autographs out there to stop it and get on with the game. In fact, both coaches were very impressive. They obviously both want to win. It's a vital game for them, and I think we're going to see a great last quarter. That's what the coaches said, Phil.
Right, Rob, and we're just waiting now on the players to get into it for the final quarter. Rain falling. Listen to that buzz of excitement around the ground. Umbrellas are up everywhere here at the moment. Look at them around the fence. There goes the siren signal to the timekeepers. And the next 30 minutes will tell. It'll be a late finish, as I mentioned earlier, as Beattie went up for the knockout, but Anderson got it back over his head, comes down towards Goss. Coming out is Allender, fast to take the mark. He screws around, has the kick smothered. He'll punch it away right upfield, and it didn't go through towards the player in Christou. He couldn't break away, and Wilkinson was pushed in the back, and Wilkinson of Port Melbourne will receive the free kick. Well, how would you feel over there? That was Burt, who hasn't had the best of days. He didn't against Port Melbourne last time. He's had 12 kicks, which is down for Burt. He had 27 last week. So here is the red-headed fellow coming in Wilkinson, puts it on its way, it'll drop short, be pushed away, taken away by Halbert. Halbert gets it out towards the half-back line. Wilkinson again racing after it, but it'll beat him over the line and out of bounds again. So let's check off the scoreboard here. Port Melbourne 14-18, 102. Coburg 13-8, 86. Again it comes again. Up go the big fellows. And Anderson getting the knockout again, but it eventually ends up here with Hallsall. Hallsall goes downfield with the kick up towards the Wescombe. Wescombe takes a good mark, tucked it right under the arm there as he moved into it. Don't forget Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock tonight on 10. There it goes. You'll see highlights of this. It comes off the hands of the pack, comes through to Johnson, and Johnson went for the hand pass. A very dangerous one to Davies. Davies with a further hand pass. Gets it across to O'Neill. O'Neill hesitant in trying to get the direction in which he was going to kick, but then puts it the half-back line. No push in the back out there. The umpire allows the play to continue. It comes back to Wescombe, and Wescombe gets the lead from centre half forward. Up they fly, off the hands of the players here, and there's Tolley moving into the ball. Will he get away with it? Gets the hand pass in, and it eludes Herbert. Cuts through here, with the hand pass coming out towards Swan. Swan with a little short kick upfield, and Evans comes in to take the mark. He'll race away from his opponent, tried the bounce. He gets tagged, holding the ball, it must be. And well done by Beattie. Beattie's being held here. Well done, Beattie. He comes in now from the half-back line. Anderson waits underneath the ball. Has it punched away from him. Comes through towards Frank Johnson. Johnson can't get it away. There's the player in Cleary coming into it. He couldn't break away. Should be able to pick him up easy enough with the beard. Anderson goes for the wide hand pass out towards Davies. Davies, if he can trap it. Good shepherding there by Goss. Davies with his kick up towards Allender, and Allender has taken the mark. Since he's fired, he's made all the difference. Oh, he's getting the lead from Evans on the other side of the ground. Would have been a foolish pass to undertake. Allender now lines them up, puts it high in the air. This will allow Cook to come in underneath it, but it'll be punched away and goes through for the 1 point. So that takes Port Melbourne on to 14-19, 103 to Coburg's 13-8, 86. There's the ball being returned. Bill.
Well, you wouldn't want a game to be much more tense than this one is and has been during the course of the day. Only 17 points of difference. Coburg yet to get into attack properly in this quarter, and the ball straight down the centre of the ground to the centre. A chance for Fisher. Fisher can't take it out, but Herbert had the opportunity. Davies, number 12 of Port Melbourne, doing well to get it across there. In hot pursuit is Herbert. Herbert goes to the ground, and the umpire thinks he was pushed. Well, Herbert will get the free kick. There he is now, and he's getting a 15-metre penalty to boot. And that brings him up to the half-forward flank. Herbert kicking with depth up towards a full forward spot, and a good mark to Port Melbourne, taken in the last line of defence by O'Neill. There he is, O'Neill of Port Melbourne, kicking wide to the grandstand or members' flank. Burt comes in. This is the man they want to fire. Hand passing very quickly up there. Across there to Hallsall, and he couldn't handle it. Free kick will go to Port Melbourne and be taken by Swan. Swan in towards the centre of the ground. Halbert must be nearly Coburg's best player. Halbert has kicked 5 goals, and now he gets it across field to Tolley. Tolley will take the mark, and Coburg rushing into attack. That's more methodical, and they eventually get it to the half-forward line, and we've seen Port Melbourne kick a goal or two from about that position. This time it will be Hartigan's opportunity for Coburg.
He's a long way downfield too, Bill, from the back pocket.
He is. And there's the kick, and it's got accuracy. It's a goal, a good goal to Coburg. It is 14-19 to 14-8. Olympic Tyre scoreboard. Coburg 11 points away from Port, about to take it out of the centre, but the umpire said, I'll have it and do it all over again. Right in the centre of the ground, as you can see. Pack stand. 11 points the difference. 5.5 minutes into the quarter, and Coburg into attack. Another one from Burt up towards full forward. That was a great mark to O'Neill. A magnificent mark. And O'Neill defending beautifully, has thrashed Smith all day. A beautiful mark and a good kick, a well-directed kick until it goes over the head of his players to Hallsall. Hallsall to Milroy, back to Hallsall. Can't handle it, ducked into the tackle. Play on was the call. And Herbert getting away, but it'll be Swan to relieve the pressure for Port Melbourne by getting it over towards Anderson, who thumped it close to the line. And the umpire has elected to give a free kick to Port Melbourne, and it's Wilkinson. 11 points the difference, and Wilkin to Goss gets Port mobile. Goss from centre wing spears it up towards centre half forward. Coburg's Nimmo was in there. They don't know what to do with it. Ebeyer comes out of the pack. Looking over here, a chance for Douglas. Douglas to clear. Hot pursuit there is Cook, very close to the boundary line. Douglas taking it over, got the nudge from Christou. That's got to be holding the ball. That was a clanger. It's going to be thrown in. Douglas happy to get away with that result. And look at that big Port Melbourne umbrella.
Reitner comes back in. Allender tries to punch it away, but it's punched away by Beattie. Over to Saltmarsh. Saltmarsh gets it to Fisher, and Fisher now will put Coburg into attack. There it goes up towards the half-forward line. Robert Smith leading right out. That's Smith right out there, but it's a pick-up here by Tully. Tully high in the air towards centre half-forward. Forced wide, and this is Hall. He's played consistently all day. Getting the hand pass into Swan. It comes up towards the centre of the ground, but who's waiting? Beattie, the skipper of the Coburg side. Yarraville 14-11, still down on Brunswick's score of 16-14. As it goes towards centre half forward, Halbert takes the shot for goal, and it could be a goal. It's a beautiful goal by Coburg. Look at them. Well, they've turned the light on down here at Port Melbourne. It's very overcast. They've got one solitary light, and they've got that on, and it's standing out like a lighthouse at the moment here on the outer wing position. Well, there's Christou now. 5 points the difference. The ball comes up towards Port Melbourne's half-forward line, and it comes back off the hands of Pack to Goss. Goss puts it high in the air. Fred Cook's backing into it. Can he take the mark? He tried. He goes in the goal, and it's his 100th. Fred Cook at last. After 4 desperate tries, and look at the crowd of kids. The police are moving in. Fred Cook is being absolutely smothered out there at the moment. A desperate lunge at the ball by Cook with the boot, and he's put it through for his 100th for the season. Good work, Fred Cook, and this is what he says about 100 goals in association football today.
Fred, you've kicked 100 goals on 4 occasions prior to now. How important was this time for the ton?
Probably not as others because of such a big occasion today. This is probably the best game of football that the viewers are going to see for the season, and probably if it had happened a couple of weeks ago there would have been more emphasis on it, but obviously it'll be nice to get it over and done with early.
A lot of pressure on you today?
I'm sure there is, because I've missed the last 2 weeks, and obviously when you're out of football for 3 weeks, which it will be, it takes a little while to get back into touch, but I'm hoping that the younger players coming down the ground will remember where they left off at Preston.
Do you expect any reaction from the crowd? I mean, they're very loyal, the Port Melbourne supporters.
Particularly from the kids. You know, I think in years gone by when I kicked 100 goals, the kids tend to jump over the fence, but they're entitled to that, and they put the effort into to come along and see me play, and I'm obliged to look up to them.
What's more important, the 4 points today or that 100 goals?
Oh, the game, Rob, by far.
Well, Rob Asprey then talking with Fred Cook, and this is how he kicks his 100 goals. Comes into the hands of Fred Cook, off the hands of his opponent, and Cook then in absolute ecstasy puts the arms up in the air and says, at last. Rob Asprey.
Yes, well, I don't think anyone would argue he's a great showman, but no one would begrudge him that, because he certainly earned those goals. And as Ted said before, there was enormous pressure on Freddie Cook today, and I think he showed that by, well, the last couple of goals or shots he had, he missed them. Normally he wouldn't have missed those kicks.
Rob, I'd just like to mention that is the 5th time that Fred Cook has kicked 100 goals in a season in VFA football, and has taken his grand tally to 872 goals. Now, that's a magnificent performance.
Yes, well, we now call him Melba Cook. And quite a few people in the crowd were, as I walked out at three-quarter time. Melba Cook, Melba Freddie Cook. Congratulations anyway, Freddie. There's the bounce back in the centre of the ground, and now Port Melbourne can concentrate on winning the game rather than worrying about Fred Cook kicking a ton. Here's the kick now by Wilkinson, right down to the centre half forward position. Fred Cook is in the action again, but there's been an infringement, and the umpire will pay a kick to Coburg. Douglas it is who will take the kick. Freddie Cook, the man of the moment on the mark, but Douglas decides to play on. He takes one bounce. There's his kick now, coming out to the half-back flank position. Wescombe is there. Should have got a free kick, I felt. Picked up by Swan of Port Melbourne. He decides to handball in front of him. Gets the run of the ball again, but not before it goes over the line and out of bounds. On the outer side of the ground, the wing position. The big men who will contest it on this occasion will be Amundsen and the captain, Beattie. The big crowd on its toes at the moment. There's the bounce. It's knocked down by Vic Amundsen. Immediately, Christou is brought to the ground, but he'll get a free kick. Christou on the wing position will drive the ball into the scoring zone. No, he decides to handball to Wilkinson, his teammate. There's the kick now by Wilkinson down to the full forward position. Getting up is Allender, and he's taken a great mark. Oh, the player is, there's no doubt about Allender. I gave him a bagging before. I felt that he wasn't concentrating on his football. Well, now I've got to change my tune because he's playing great football, and he's one of the reasons that Port Melbourne have come right back on top. 3 goals at the moment. Here's the mark again. Ted, tell us about it.
Yes, and you'll see Allender there in top flight there and back to his very best, Rob, with a great mark at centre-half forward, and he's kicked the goal.
Right through the middle, and a great goal to Allender. Well, Phil, at this stage, would you care to pick a winner?
Well, I picked the winner before the match, Rob. That was Port Melbourne. And I still think that they'll win it now from here. They're 17 points up, but they would still have at least, I would say, 20 minutes to go in this game.
Well, I wouldn't be that confident, Phil, but we'll just wait and see. Port Melbourne, 16-19, 115. Coburg, 15-8, 98. And here's Bill Jacobs.
Out of the centre, Port got it out too through Amundsen, who's played pretty well today. Wilkinson thumps it a little bit further for them, but Burt, who hasn't been able to get in the game to any great extent, overran it. The ground quickly, and Port get it out of attack up towards the centre wing, and that's Pitt of Coburg, and they'll have to hasten. They've got to close this gap pretty quickly if they're to be a chance. Pitt through centre-half forward. And a good, strong mark to Port Melbourne in the last, or second last line of defence, as it were, at centre-half back. Johnson kicking now from centre-half back after taking the mark. Over to centre wing. Wilkinson knocked away. Port Melbourne doing better, and Evans getting away. Slapping it up towards the half-forward flank. Over there is O'Reilly, his mark. Good mark to O'Reilly. Very difficult customer to handle is that fellow, and he's looking for Cook, and Cook's in front. Douglas not happy about that, because Cook grabbed Douglas by the arm before it all started. And look at that crowd, and here it is on replay.
Well, let's see what he does. You can see that Cook actually did push Douglas away there on the chest, but, you know, it's a doubtful one.
Well, they're the rubs of the game, and here's Cook looking for goal number 4, and there it is, a goal to Port Melbourne. And it's 17-19 to 15-8 on the Olympic Tyres scoreboard, and that, at the 14-minute mark, might have wrapped it up.
Well, I think it has wrapped it up. We feed Preston score there, 26-10, Paran 17-10, so they could be out of it. Paran, Frankston 17-6, leading Caulfield 12-19. Here's an interesting one here. Dandenong is 6 points behind Camberwell there, Phil. Yes. And the Sandringham, Geelong West, Sandringham are down also.
And we've got a couple of fights going on around the place at the moment as the play goes on. I don't mean on the field, I mean in the crowd. And here's Wilkinson now getting the hand pass to Goss. Goss tries to get it further afield. He gets it to Christou, who snaps, shoots for goal, and it could be another one. Cook desperately tried to take the mark, but it's gone through for 1 point. So we have Port Melbourne now on 17-20, 122, leading Coburg 15-8, 98. How'll it be when these two sides meet in the second semi-final at the Junction Oval? And there it goes towards the half-back line, and a mark taken by Evans. Incidentally, next Wednesday night, we'll be giving you progressive counting in the Liston Trophy vote at 7:30, and also at 8:30, the final voting as Christou has the ball, snaps for goal for Port Melbourne, and he's put it through again for another goal to Port. Immediately, it's Anderson getting it down to Goss. They're running away at the moment, Port. It comes towards Allender, but trying to take it on the second bounce is Nemo, or the second grab. And Nemo with a good mark. Nemo now. He puts it across here towards the half-back line, and it's Burt who races away with it. Burt up towards centre-half forward. Players move into it, and another Coburg mark has been taken here, and this time by Gary Pitt. Pitt now at his kick towards the centre-forward zone. Up they fly for it, and it's Milroy down there to come in and take the mark. So Milroy has the chance to try and bridge this gap a little. I'd still say there's 15 minutes left in the game, so there's still a chance for Coburg to come back. Both sides that have the chance of breaking into the four over and above Paran are both down at the present time, but we'll keep you informed on those matches as time goes on. There's the kick from Milroy, and he's put it through for goal to Coburg. Coburg now go to 16-8, a total of 104. Port Melbourne 18-20, 128. And what's happening over there in the second division, second semi? Bill Barrett.
Yarraville are fighting back very hard, Phil.
Back here, and we have the bounce of the ball taking place from umpire Roy Groom.
Right in the centre of the ground, and coming out with the ball is Fisher. Oh, a long hand pass right out into the open spaces. Oh, no, and he push in the back there, but play on, says the umpire. Smith tries to get the ball across into a position where he can get control of it down on the ground. Players going in desperately now, and the umpire will ball it up. We've now played 17 minutes into the final quarter. Very late today. Port Melbourne 18-20, 128. Coburg 16-8, 104. Port Melbourne in control of the game at this stage. Can Coburg come back? That's the question. Right now, let's have a look at the action. Going in, trying to pick it up is Goss, but the umpire again will call for a bounce. It's in the... just checking some scores. Camberwell 15-14, 104. Dead level with Dandenong. 15-14, 104, and they'll want to win that game, Dandenong. Well, the crowd at the moment calling for Port Melbourne as Amundsen, the big man for Port Melbourne, will take the kick. It's on the outer side of the ground, right in front of our, well, just down from our broadcast box position. There's the kick now coming across, trying to get the ball. In fact, Will is Goss, but he has it swept away from him by Saltmarsh. Saltmarsh gets an awkward-looking kick into the forward pocket, and it'll go over the line and out of bounds. Waiting for the throw-in. Just checking the scores again. Port Melbourne 18-20, 128. Coburg 16-8, 104. The margin 4 goals. Players going in desperately for the ball now. Very scrambly at the moment. And the umpire, Roy Groom, will call for the ball again. Well, the commentators were critical of Roy Groom up until half-time, his umpiring, but I feel he's got more control and doing a much better job now, Phil.
Yes, he's got the message, Rob.
Well, Wescombe going in, and in fact we'll get a free kick there. Push in the back to Wescombe. Long way out from goal. I doubt if he could kick it from there, although he does have the assistance of that Brice. He's already kicked one. Coburg need this goal badly. Just coming up to the 20-minute mark. This would be a very handy goal for Coburg. There's the kick. It's going in, but it's come offline. Umpire comes across and says 1 point only. Another behind to Coburg. They're trailing Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne 18 goals 20, 128. Coburg 16-9, 105. And here again is Bill Jacobs.
Well, O'Neill, who's played splendidly today in holding Smith, about to kick the ball back into play, and your Olympic Tyre scoreboard shows the result thus far of the 20-minute mark in the last term. Amundsen, where experience is great for a team. Big Vic Amundsen, who's outpointed Milroy, bringing it around up to centre wing. Wilkinson nearly a chance, spoiled by O'Reilly. Burt, a little fortunate. To Tully. Tully getting it up towards the half-forward line. O'Neill backs his judgment, slapped it away, and Smith was coming up about 3 metres behind O'Neill. The boundary umpire has to do the work now at the 21-minute mark in the final term, with Port holding sway and keeping Coburg out. It looked like Amundsen again into the pack. A chance for Coburg, and they'll get away through Halbert. His hand pass was chopped off. Herbert came in, couldn't clear, and over the line it goes again. 16-9 Coburg, trailing Port 18-20. 32 scoring shots, Port 38 scoring shots. Anderson gets the free kick across to Goss. A little bit of drizzle coming down, and Goss plants the ball up towards centre wing. It was O'Reilly's fist to Ebeyer. A good kick to position in a sense by Ebeyer, looking for the line. My word, he did. He had nobody to kick it to. Cook was lagging behind Douglas, who came up to meet it. And Ebeyer went for the line successfully. Yarraville have been defeated by Brunswick in the second semi-final of second division. 130 points to 108, and here it looks like Port kicked in mid-air by Tully, and Tully to the blind.
Right, Bill Barrett, could you give us a very quick summary on the game over there at Toorak Park?
Right, Phil, 5-0 by Brunswick to go into the...
Right, thank you, Bill Barrett, for the report from there, and we'll be with you again next week in the preliminary final in second division.
Anderson to Curran was good football for Port Melbourne, very close to the line, and it's over and out, and Port have got it wrapped up. 23.5 minutes into this final term in front of a great crowd here at Port Melbourne, and high there was Beattie, but couldn't get it to a player. Anderson, cool, calm and even collected on that occasion towards centre-half forward. O'Reilly for once couldn't grab, but Allender gets it away, headed toward the open goal. And it's offline for a point. But Port can start singing their club song. I think they're 121 points to 105.
Well, it's certainly one of the best VFA games that I've seen in 3 years, Bill. There's no doubt about that, and the big crowd have loved every moment of it. In fact, the crowd now realise the writing is on the wall, and they're starting to move. Well, it's Douglas now kicking to the grandstand side of the ground, and there's the score between Preston and Paran. And Preston 29-11, 185. Preston 18-11, 119. And Preston, Caulfield and Frankston. Frankston 19-6, 120. Caulfield 13-20, 98. Camberwell 15-14, 104. Dandenong 15-14, 104. Levels pegging. And Sandringham 16-13, 109. Leading Geelong West 16-11, 107. Some very interesting scores there. And there's some interesting action on the ground as O'Reilly, the big man for Port Melbourne, has a free kick. He'll take it right on the 10-metre square. He's already kicked one as the rain is starting to pelt down now. Well, this is certainly seal it if he gets this one. There's the kick, the umpire. It's a goal, no doubt about it. Full points to Port.
And Port 21 to Coburg 16-9, 135 to 105. Into the last quarter and coming up towards the time-on period. Onto Coburg's forward line. Smith, tackled by Hall, breaks the tackle. Up to the goal square. And Port Melbourne players galore up there. And that's Davies. Frankston have defeated Caulfield. There's Davies coming out for Port to boot it further upfield. Wilkinson thumping down. A chance here for Port, and they'll get away through Johnston, and Johnston's kick, as you saw, is out of bounds on the full, and the free kick is Coburg's way to be taken by Curran. Curran directing it in towards the centre of the ground as we're into the time-on period by about 1 minute. And it's too late for Coburg. Port doing it well, and Christou playing beautiful football to O'Reilly. And he hugs it to Dermott, streaming downfield, too long, holding the ball. And it's against Dermott. But Port have got it wrapped up. Halbert, probably Coburg's best player, and would vie for the honours on the ground. Across to Curran. Curran hooking back towards centre wing. But Johnston will come away for Port Melbourne and get it to teammate Wilkinson. Wilkinson from half-back flank, or half-forward flank. And there was a push in the back there, and I thought it might have gone to Allender, but it's gone to Douglas.
Camberwell have defeated Dandenong, so that puts Dandenong out of contention for the 4. It's a matter now between Sandringham and Geelong West, and we should have that result through pretty soon, Bill.
Anytime now, coming through on 10. You're watching this live on 10. A great game of football. Taking it away is O'Neill, and it goes to the flank, and Port Melbourne racing away now. Coming upfield with Swan to Cook, and I've seen worse than that played, but down to the ground. And the slippery ball now is making it difficult for players to handle it as rain pours down.
Right, and all we're waiting on now is the result of that Sandringham game. If they win, they're in the four. They're in the final four, Sandringham, if they can beat Geelong West. And what a turn-up that'll be for the VFA as far as attendances are concerned. That comes down towards Christou. Christou shoots it up towards goal, and Cook has taken a spectacular mark. Running in the same direction as the ball. Stumbles into it, drags himself up off the ground. He's had a big day. He's had the adrenaline running right from the start. And we'll have a look at him take this one again as he moves into it. And down he goes.
A television mark, Phil.
For sure. He's kicked 4 goals, 6. You said it, Ted. Cook has kicked 4 goals, 6 with heavy rain falling here at Port Melbourne. He comes in and will put it through for 1 point. So that takes the score. Port Melbourne 19-22, 136 to Coburg 16-9, 105. Well, we're just waiting on that other vital game to see who's in the four. Sandringham, a progressive score, defeating Geelong West by the look of it. Sandringham 17-13, Geelong West 16-11. So at this moment, we have Sandringham in the final four. As the ball is returned now, and it'll be taken by Douglas of the Coburg. Douglas towards the half-back line. Players move out to it off the hands of the pack to Grant O'Reilly. O'Reilly of Port Melbourne keeps it low to Christou, and Christou moves in rather quickly to take a good mark. Now Christou gets ready for the kick at the 29-minute mark, and I would imagine this will be about a 35-minute quarter. Now, if Sandringham win down there today, they'll meet Geelong West again next week in the first semi-final. There goes the ball on its way. It's offline, and 1 point is the result. So that takes Port Melbourne to 19-23, 137 to Coburg 16-9, 105. And don't forget, we'll have the Liston Trophy voting on Channel 10, 7:30, a quick report on Wednesday night, and then the final of the counting at 8:30 on Channel 10 next Wednesday night. And don't forget our Deafness Fund appeal all day next Saturday, and Rob Asprey, the whole sporting team, will be there to entertain you through the morning, and then Overseas Stars right throughout the afternoon and evening on Channel 10 with the Nerve Deafness Fund appeal next Saturday. And it's Swan taking the mark out on the half-forward line for Port Melbourne. Port Melbourne now have this one wrapped up. Leading well at the present time. We're at the 30-minute mark into the final quarter. Bill.
Rain, hail, shine or whatever, it comes up to the Port Melbourne full forward spot, and O'Reilly takes the mark. O'Reilly has a very sure grip on the ball. He's kicked 2 goals, and a very useful part of the Port Melbourne machinery is this fellow. Port have played well to win this one. They've done it well. At one time I thought Coburg were coming back, but Port consolidated. It's a point to O'Reilly, 19-24 to 16-9 on the Olympic Tyre scoreboard. And Coburg have got plenty to think about because Port have beaten them twice this year. 33 points the margin as Douglas boots it back into play. A spectacular mark by Goss, but before doing so, it was a free kick. Sandringham have increased their lead to 14 points over Geelong West. As the ball finds its way into the centre, it was Fisher to flip it across there to Herbert. Herbert in turn further upfield to Hartigan. In trouble. The umpire was a little kind then. It allowed Davies to come in for Port Melbourne, intercepted by Fisher, but there's Holt. Holding the ball is the call against Sammy. And the free kick will be taken by Burt of Coburg, who was the one player that Coburg wanted to lift and didn't.
Right now, here goes the kick up towards the centre forward zone. Players rise. No one can take the mark down here. Coming through is Robert Smith. He goes for the hand pass, and it's missed this time by Herbert. But it comes through to Annanson. Annanson didn't know where to go for a moment. Gets it to Goss. Goss walks nicely, then dribbles it off the ground. Gets it across towards Swan. Swan of Port Melbourne goes for a hand pass up here in the direction of Christou. Christou's come into a lot of play here in the last quarter to Allender, and Allender has taken the mark on the stand wing. Gets the lead from O'Reilly. He fell right into the ball and takes the mark very low to the ground. So let's check off the scores here in the final quarter. Port Melbourne 19-24. There's the siren, 138. Defeating Coburg 16-9, 105. So there's the final score, and it looks as though Sandringham have defeated Geelong West, so that means Sandringham are in the final four. Paran go out of it. So next week, we'll see in the first semi-final in First Division, Sandringham playing Geelong West. We hope you've enjoyed the match here today, but before we sign off, Ted Henry's the best player for the Seidel products, the $50 in cash, and also the Puma boots and bag.
Yes, Phil, I've given to Jim Christou of Port Melbourne for a great game over 4 quarters.
And then to the mark of the day by Gillette, the $50 in cash and the Gillette products.
Well, that went to Fred Cook, 30 minutes in the third quarter, Phil, with that lovely one-hander right in front of goals.
Well, there are the scores, quarter by quarter, as the game went on today. We'll be with you again next week. In the meantime,
this is Bill Jacobs,
Ted Henrys,
Ian Gibbs,
and Philip Gibbs, wishing you a very good afternoon and taking you back to the studios.